Imagine standing on the shore of a vast ocean during a restless night when the waves refuse to settle and the wind carries 1,000 whispers from distant lands. This is often how the landscape of our inner world feels when thoughts begin to race without a clear destination. Each ripple on the water represents a fleeting concern, a memory of what has passed, or a shadow of what might come. We find ourselves caught in a constant movement, a rhythmic swaying between the yesterday we cannot change and the tomorrow we cannot yet see. It is a natural part of being alive to experience this internal dialogue, yet there are moments when the chatter grows so loud that the melody of the present moment becomes difficult to hear. We carry so many stories within us, some painted with the bright colors of hope and others etched with the gray tones of uncertainty. When these stories overlap, they create a dense forest of mental activity that can feel overwhelming. The mind is often compared to a restless traveler who never unpacks their bags, always looking toward the next horizon while still feeling the dust of the previous road. We might find ourselves sitting in a quiet room, yet our internal space is filled with the echoes of a conversation from 3 days ago or the anticipation of a task that is still weeks away. This tendency to wander is not a flaw in our nature but rather a reflection of how deeply we care about our lives and the people around us. However, there is a profound beauty in learning how to gently invite this traveler to sit down, to rest their weary feet, and to simply breathe in the air of the here and now. Peace does not require us to stop thinking entirely, as that would be like asking the wind to stop blowing. Instead, peace arrives when we change our relationship with the wind, moving from a place of struggle to a place of quiet observation. Consider the way a leaf floats on the surface of a stream, moving with the current but never trying to direct the flow of the water. Our thoughts are like those leaves, and the stream is the continuous movement of our consciousness. When we try to grab a leaf because we dislike its shape or color, we only end up splashing the water and making the surface murky. If we let the leaf pass, it eventually moves out of sight, making room for the clear reflection of the sky above. This gentle allowing is the first step toward finding a sense of calm amidst the busy nature of our daily existence. It is about recognizing that we are the vast sky, and the clouds of worry are merely passing weather patterns that do not define our true essence. In ancient times, there was a young man named Ananda who often felt his heart racing with the weight of many responsibilities. He wondered how it was possible to maintain a sense of clarity when the world seemed to demand so much of his attention. He observed that even the most skilled archers could not hit their target if their hands were shaking with tension. The secret was not in the strength of their muscles but in the stillness of their focus. This stillness is available to everyone, regardless of how chaotic life may seem on the outside. It begins with the realization that the past has already written its final page and the future is a book that has not yet been printed. The only place where we can truly live, act, and feel is in this very breath. When loquacious thoughts begin to pull us in different directions, we can imagine ourselves as a mountain. A mountain stays firm and grounded regardless of whether the sun is shining or a storm is raging around its peaks. The trees may sway and the snow may fall, but the foundation of the mountain remains unmoved. We possess that same foundational strength within our own hearts. By returning to the physical sensation of our breathing, we anchor ourselves to the earth, reminding our spirit that we are safe in this moment. There is no need to solve every problem right this second. Many of the things we worry about are like ghosts that disappear when we turn on the light of mindful awareness. The journey toward a quieter mind is not a race, nor is it a mountain that must be conquered with force. It is more like tending a garden where we patiently pull out the weeds of overthinking and nourish the seeds of presence. We must be kind to ourselves during this process, acknowledging that some days the garden will be wilder than others. There is a deep compassion in simply saying to ourselves that it is okay to feel restless. By accepting the restlessness, we actually begin to dissolve its power over us. Resistance is what creates the friction that turns a small spark of worry into a flame of anxiety. When we stop fighting the thoughts and instead greet them with a soft smile, they lose their ability to disturb our inner harmony. In the chronicles of old, there is a story about a traveler who came across a pond that had been stirred up by a passing wagon. The mud had risen from the bottom, making the water dark and opaque. The traveler was thirsty and wanted to drink, but he saw that the water was unfit. Instead of trying to stir the water further to clear the mud or using a tool to scoop out the dirt, he simply sat down under a nearby tree. He waited. As time passed, the mud naturally settled back to the bottom because there was no longer any agitation. The water became crystal clear once again, reflecting the green leaves of the trees and the blue of the heavens. Our minds operate in much the same way. When we stop stirring the pot of our anxieties, the natural clarity of our wisdom has a chance to rise to the surface. This waiting is not a passive act but a courageous choice to trust in the natural order of things. We often feel that if we are not actively worrying, we are not being responsible. We have been conditioned to believe that constant mental labor is the only way to ensure a good outcome. Yet, a mind that is constantly tired from overthinking is less capable of making wise decisions than a mind that has been allowed to rest. Think of a musical instrument. If the strings are too tight, they will break. If they are too loose, they will not play a beautiful note. Finding that middle ground of gentle alertness is where we find our most authentic selves. Every time a thought arises that tells you that you are not doing enough or that something terrible might happen, try to look at that thought as if it were a wandering bird landing on a branch. You can acknowledge the bird, admire its feathers, and then watch as it flies away to another tree. You do not have to invite the bird into your house and feed it until it decides to stay forever. You are the owner of the house, and you have the right to choose which guests you give your full attention to. This selective focus is a powerful tool in reclaiming your sense of peace. It allows you to navigate the complexities of modern life without losing the steady rhythm of your own heart. There is a certain lightness that comes when we stop taking every thought so seriously. Our minds are excellent storytellers, but not every story they tell is the truth. Sometimes the mind creates dramas just to keep itself busy, much like a child who invents imaginary monsters in the dark. When we shine the light of our own awareness onto these stories, we often find that the monsters were just shadows cast by a coat hanging on the door. This realization brings a sense of relief and even a bit of humor. We can learn to laugh softly at the creative ways our imagination tries to keep us on edge. As we move through our day, we can find small anchors of stillness in the most ordinary actions. The way the water feels against our skin when we wash our hands, the sound of a bird outside the window, or the simple weight of our feet on the floor as we walk from one room to another. These are not distractions from our life but the very substance of it. When we fully inhabit these small moments, the monkey mind that likes to jump from branch to branch finds a comfortable place to sit and observe. We are training ourselves to be present, one small step at a time. Imagine the relief of putting down a heavy backpack that you have been carrying for miles. That is what happens when we decide to let go of the need to control things that are beyond our reach. We often carry the weight of other people's opinions, the expectations of society, and the pressure we put on ourselves to be perfect. When we release these burdens, we find that we can walk much faster and with much more grace. The path ahead does not change, but our ability to traverse it is transformed. We become more resilient and more open to the unexpected joys that hide in the corners of our daily routine. There was once a quiet village nestled in a valley where the people were known for their calm demeanor. A visitor asked the eldest member of the village what their secret was. The elder replied that they simply practiced the art of finishing one thing before starting another. When they ate, they only ate. When they worked the fields, they only worked the fields. When they rested, they only rested. This simplicity is often lost in our world of multitasking and constant digital connection. We are often doing one thing while thinking about three others, which splits our energy and creates a sense of fragmentation. By bringing our whole self to a single task, we heal that fragmentation and rediscover a sense of wholeness. When you feel the tide of loquacious thoughts rising, remember that you have an internal compass that always points toward peace. This compass is your breath. It is the one thing that is always with you, from the moment you are born until the moment you leave this world. It is a constant friend that asks for nothing in return. By simply noticing the cool air entering your nostrils and the warm air leaving your body, you create a bridge between your mind and your physical reality. This bridge allows the scattered energy of your thoughts to return home to the center of your being. It is also helpful to recognize that we are not our thoughts. Just as the ocean is not the waves and the sky is not the wind, our true self is the silent witness that observes everything that passes through our consciousness. This witness is always calm, always clear, and always compassionate. When we identify with the witness rather than the drama of the thoughts, we find a sanctuary that can never be disturbed by external circumstances. This is the place where true healing begins. From this vantage point, we can look at our worries with the eyes of an old friend who knows that everything will eventually find its right place. The world will always provide reasons to be concerned, but we have the choice of how much of our internal territory we give away to those concerns. We can be informed without being overwhelmed. We can be involved without being lost. This balance is the hallmark of a mind that has found its way back to a state of equilibrium. It is like a boat that is well balanced on the water. Even if the waves are high, the boat does not tip over because its center of gravity is low and stable. Our center of gravity is our awareness of the present moment. Consider the intricate beauty of a spider's web covered in morning dew. Each drop of water reflects the entire garden. Our lives are like those drops of water. If we are too busy shaking the web, the drops will fall and the reflections will disappear. But if we remain still, we can see the whole universe in a single moment of clarity. This perspective shifts our focus from the problems we face to the vastness of the life we are lucky enough to experience. It turns a mundane day into a sacred journey. There are times when the monkey mind is particularly loud, perhaps during the quiet hours of the night when sleep seems far away. In those moments, instead of fighting the wakefulness, we can use the time to practice a gentle form of kindness toward ourselves. We can scan our bodies and release the tension in our shoulders, our jaw, and our forehead. We can whisper words of encouragement to our own hearts, acknowledging that we are doing the best we can with the tools we have. This self-compassion acts as a soothing balm for the agitated spirit, allowing the nervous system to settle into a state of rest. The wisdom of the ages tells us that peace is not something we find in a far-off land or at the end of a long list of achievements. It is a quality that we cultivate within ourselves, starting exactly where we are. It does not require special equipment or a specific environment. It only requires a willing heart and a bit of patience. Like a musician practicing their scales, we practice returning to the present moment until it becomes our natural state of being. And in that state, we find that the loquacious thoughts that once seemed so loud have become nothing more than a soft background hum, no longer capable of drowning out the quiet joy of being alive. Think of the way a master potter works with clay. They do not force the clay into a shape with aggression. Instead, they use a gentle and steady pressure, guided by a clear vision. They work with the natural properties of the material, understanding its strengths and its limitations. We can work with our minds in the same way. We can guide our thoughts with a soft hand, steer them toward themes of gratitude and kindness, and allow the natural shape of our peace to emerge. This is an art form that we refine every day of our lives. When we look back at the history of those who have walked this path before us, we see that they all faced challenges and uncertainties. Yet, they managed to carry a light within them that illuminated the way for others. This light was not a superpower but a result of their commitment to inner stillness. They understood that the greatest gift they could give to the world was their own peace. When we are peaceful, we naturally bring peace to our families, our workplaces, and our communities. Our calm becomes a harbor where others can find refuge from their own storms. There is a profound connection between the way we treat ourselves and the way we experience the world. If we are constantly judging our thoughts as good or bad, we create a landscape of conflict. But if we view all our thoughts with a sense of curiosity and openness, we create a landscape of exploration. We can ask ourselves where a certain worry comes from without feeling the need to punish ourselves for having it. This investigative approach turns our inner struggle into a journey of self-discovery, where every challenge becomes an opportunity to learn something new about the human condition. We must also remember to celebrate the moments of quiet when they do arrive. We often spend so much time looking for peace that we fail to notice when it is actually sitting right next to us. It might be in the silence after a rainstorm, the comfort of a warm meal, or the simple joy of seeing a friend smile. These moments are the true treasures of life. By pausing to fully appreciate them, we reinforce the pathways of peace in our minds, making it easier to return to that state even when things get difficult again. The process of calming the mind is much like tuning a radio. There is a lot of static between the stations, and it takes a delicate touch to find the clear signal. Once we find that signal, the music is beautiful and clear. We might lose the signal from time to time as we move through different environments, but we always know how to find it again. We simply have to slow down and turn the dial with intention. The music has always been there, waiting for us to listen. In the stories of the ancients, there is often mention of the power of a single focused intention. If we set the intention to be kind to our minds, the entire universe seems to conspire to help us. We start to notice books that offer wisdom, people who provide support, and situations that teach us patience. Our intention acts as a magnet, drawing in the experiences that will help us grow. This is why it is so important to begin each day with a quiet moment of reflection, setting a tone of gentleness for the hours ahead. As we continue to explore the depths of our own consciousness, we find that the layers of loquacious thoughts are often superficial. Deep beneath the surface of our worries lies a vast ocean of tranquility that remains untouched by the events of the world. This is our true home. It is a place of infinite space and timeless beauty. Whenever we feel lost in the maze of our own making, we only need to take a few steps back to find the entrance to this inner sanctuary. It is always open, and it always welcomes us back with open arms. In one of the old accounts, a teacher was asked how to deal with a mind that felt like a wild horse. The teacher suggested that instead of trying to tie the horse down with a short rope, which would only make it more frantic, one should give the horse a large, open field to run in. In that vast space, the horse eventually tires itself out and comes to a stop of its own accord. Our thoughts are like that wild horse. If we try to suppress them with rigid rules and harsh self-criticism, they only become more rebellious. But if we give them the space of our vast awareness, they eventually lose their momentum and find their own stillness. This concept of spaciousness is essential. It means allowing ourselves to have thoughts without being consumed by them. It means observing the rise and fall of emotions without being swept away by the tide. We are the container, not the contents. When we realize this, we find a sense of freedom that is truly liberating. We no longer have to be afraid of our own minds, because we know that no matter how loud the thoughts become, the space they occupy is always silent and undisturbed. The world encourages us to be constantly productive and always on the move, but there is a different kind of productivity that comes from being still. It is the productivity of the soul, which grows in the silence and bears fruit in the form of wisdom and compassion. This growth cannot be rushed. It follows the timing of nature, just like a tree that grows slowly but surely until it provides shade for everyone who passes by. By honoring our need for quiet, we are honoring the very essence of our life force. Every interaction we have is an opportunity to practice this inner calm. When someone speaks to us with anger, we can choose to respond from our place of stillness rather than reacting from our place of hurt. This doesn't mean we are being weak, but rather that we are being incredibly strong. It takes great strength to remain steady when the world is shaking. This steadiness is a light that can guide others out of their own darkness, creating a ripple effect of peace that extends far beyond our immediate circle. The path of calming the mind is also a path of deep listening. We listen not just to the words of others, but to the silence between the words. We listen to the needs of our own bodies and the whispers of our own intuition. This deep listening reveals truths that are often hidden by the noise of our loquacious thoughts. It tells us when to move, when to stay, and when to let go. It is a form of inner guidance that is far more reliable than the fleeting logic of a worried mind. Imagine a beautiful tapestry where every thread is woven with care. Each thread represents a different aspect of our lives, our joy, our sorrow, our work, and our relationships. When we are caught in overthinking, we are often pulling on a single thread so hard that the whole tapestry begins to bunch up and lose its shape. But when we approach the tapestry with a calm and steady hand, we can appreciate the beauty of the entire design. We see how the dark threads are just as necessary as the light ones to create the final masterpiece. This perspective helps us to embrace the totality of our experience. We stop wishing for a life without challenges and start developing the capacity to meet those challenges with a clear head and an open heart. We understand that the monkey mind is just a part of the human experience, a piece of the puzzle that we are learning to fit into the larger picture. There is no longer a need for war within ourselves. Instead, there is a peaceful coexistence where even the most restless thoughts are treated with a sense of dignity and respect. In the old stories, there is often a figure of a wise hermit who lives in a cave on a high mountain. People travel from all over to ask for advice on how to find peace. The hermit usually says very little, but their mere presence is enough to calm the visitors' hearts. This is because the hermit has become the peace they were seeking. They don't just talk about it, they embody it. We all have that wise hermit within us. By spending time in our own inner cave of silence, we can bring that quality of presence back into our busy lives. Our thoughts are like the dust that dances in a beam of sunlight. Without the light, the dust is invisible. The light is our awareness. When we focus on the dust, it seems like a chaotic mess. But when we focus on the light, the dust becomes just a small part of a much larger and more beautiful phenomenon. We can choose where to place our focus. We can choose to be the light. This choice is available to us in every single moment, regardless of what we are doing or where we are. The journey continues, and with each step, we become more familiar with the terrain of our own minds. We start to recognize the patterns of our worries and the triggers for our anxieties. This recognition is not a cause for alarm but a sign of progress. It means we are becoming more conscious, more awake. We are no longer sleepwalking through our lives, driven by subconscious fears. We are standing in the daylight of our own understanding, and that makes all the difference in the world. As we walk, we might notice that the air feels a bit fresher and the colors of the world look a bit more vibrant. This is because our perception is no longer clouded by the fog of constant mental activity. We are seeing things as they truly are, in all their simple and profound beauty. This is the reward for the work we are doing. It is a life lived with intensity and clarity, a life where we are truly present for every breath and every heartbeat. Think of a child playing in the sand at the beach. They are completely absorbed in the act of building a castle. They don't worry about whether the tide will come in and wash it away. They simply enjoy the feeling of the sand between their fingers and the sound of the ocean. This sense of playfulness is something we can bring into our own practice of calming the mind. We don't have to be so serious all the time. We can approach our mental landscape with a sense of wonder and curiosity, like a child exploring a new playground. When the mind starts to wander into the territory of what if, we can gently guide it back to what is. What is happening right now? The weight of the body on the chair, the warmth of the sun on the skin, the rhythm of the heart. These are the facts of our existence. Everything else is just a story. By grounding ourselves in the facts, we take the power away from the fictions. We find a sense of security that doesn't depend on everything being perfect, but on our ability to be present with whatever is happening. There is a story of a great teacher who was once asked how they managed to stay so calm in the midst of a great conflict. The teacher replied that they looked at everyone involved as if they were their own children. This perspective of universal compassion is a powerful antidote to the stress of social interaction. When we see the vulnerability in others, our own defenses naturally drop. We find that we have more in common with our enemies than we thought. This softens the heart and quiets the mind, replacing the noise of judgment with the silence of understanding. The loquacious nature of our thoughts can sometimes be a creative force if we know how to channel it. Just as a river can be used to generate power if it is guided by a dam, our mental energy can be used for good if it is directed by intention. Instead of letting our thoughts run wild in the direction of worry, we can purposefully direct them toward themes of kindness, service, and creativity. This transforms the monkey mind into a helpful assistant, working in harmony with our higher goals. We are all works in progress, and that is a beautiful thing. There is no final destination where the mind is perfectly still forever. The goal is the practice itself, the daily commitment to return to the center. It is in the returning that the strength is built. Every time we catch ourselves wandering and gently bring our focus back, we are doing a mental push-up, making our awareness stronger and more resilient. Over time, these small acts of mindfulness accumulate, creating a life that is defined by peace rather than by chaos. Consider the ancient trees that have stood for hundreds of years. They have weathered droughts, fires, and storms. Their bark is thick and scarred, but their roots go deep into the earth. They don't try to hide their scars, they wear them as a testament to their endurance. We are like those trees. Our experiences, even the difficult ones, give us depth and character. When we are grounded in our own presence, we can face anything the world throws at us and still remain standing, tall and strong. The practice of doing one thing at a time extends to the way we handle our emotions. When sadness arises, we can simply be with the sadness. We don't have to try to explain it away or find a quick fix. We can offer it a seat at the table of our awareness and listen to what it has to say. Often, emotions just want to be acknowledged. Once they feel heard, they naturally begin to lose their intensity and eventually move on, like clouds passing across the face of the sun. This emotional intelligence is a key part of a calm mind. By not being afraid of our feelings, we stop the cycle of worrying about our worries. We realize that feelings are just temporary visitors, and they do not have the power to stay unless we try to lock them in. This fluidity allows us to move through life with much more ease and flexibility. We become like water, which can take the shape of any container but always remains itself. As we look toward the horizon of our own potential, we see that the possibilities are endless. A mind that is calm is a mind that is capable of great things. It can see opportunities where others see obstacles. It can find solutions where others see dead ends. It can offer love where others offer hate. This is the true power of the kind roots we are planting within ourselves. These roots will grow into a life of meaning, purpose, and profound peace. Let us continue this journey together, supporting each other with kindness and understanding. There is no need for perfection, only for presence. In each breath, there is a new beginning. In each moment, there is a chance to be still. And in that stillness, we find everything we have ever been looking for. The ocean is calm, the wind is soft, and we are home. Think of the delicate balance of an ecosystem. Every plant and animal has a role to play, and when they work together, the system flourishes. Our thoughts and emotions are part of our internal ecosystem. When we stop trying to eliminate parts of ourselves that we don't like, and instead learn how to bring them into balance, our whole being begins to flourish. We find a sense of harmony that is natural and effortless. The ancient texts often speak of the jewel in the lotus, which represents the purity of our true nature living in the midst of the world. The lotus grows in the mud, yet its petals remain clean and beautiful. We can live in the midst of a busy, sometimes messy world, yet keep our inner selves clear and bright. The mud is not our enemy, it is the very environment that allows the lotus to bloom. Similarly, the challenges of our lives are the very things that allow our wisdom to grow. Every morning when we wake up, we have a fresh canvas to paint on. We can choose to fill it with the colors of anxiety, or we can choose to paint a landscape of peace. Even if we start the day with a few dark strokes, we can always add brighter colors as we go. The painting is never finished until the very end, and we are the artists of our own experience. This creative power is a gift that we should use with intention and joy. When we talk to others, we can practice being a mirror of peace. Instead of reflecting back their stress or negativity, we can reflect back our own calm and centeredness. This can have a transformative effect on the people around us. Often, people don't even realize they are caught in a cycle of overthinking until they encounter someone who is not. Your peace becomes an invitation for them to find their own. In the stories of the Buddha's life, there are many instances where he faced intense pressure or even physical danger, yet he remained perfectly composed. This was not because he was indifferent, but because he was so deeply rooted in the truth of the present moment that nothing could shake him. He saw the impermanence of all things and realized that there was no reason to be afraid. We can learn from this example by reminding ourselves that everything is constantly changing. This situation, too, will pass. The rhythm of our lives is like a heartbeat. There is a time for expansion and a time for contraction. There is a time for action and a time for rest. When we try to stay in one phase for too long, we create imbalance. By honoring the natural rhythm of our existence, we find a sense of flow that makes everything easier. We stop pushing against the current and start moving with it. Consider the silence of the stars on a clear night. They are so far away, yet their light reaches us and fills us with a sense of awe. That same vast silence is present within us, beneath the noise of our loquacious thoughts. When we connect with that internal silence, we feel a sense of connection to the entire universe. We realize that we are not small or alone, but part of a grand and beautiful mystery. This realization is the ultimate cure for anxiety. When we know that we are part of something much larger than our individual concerns, our problems begin to look much smaller. We find a sense of perspective that allows us to breathe more deeply and smile more easily. We are held by the universe, supported by the earth, and guided by our own inner light. Let us take a moment to appreciate this simple miracle of being here. The fact that we can think, feel, and experience the world is a wonder beyond words. When we focus on the miracle rather than the mundane details, our whole outlook changes. We move from a place of lack to a place of abundance. We see that we already have everything we need to be happy. The path toward a calm mind is a path of returning home. It is about stripping away the unnecessary layers and coming back to our true essence. It is a journey of 1,000 miles that begins with a single, mindful breath. And as we continue on this path, we find that the destination was never somewhere else, it was always right here, waiting for us to notice. Imagine the sound of a bell ringing in a quiet valley. The sound spreads out in all directions, touching everything in its path. Our presence is like that bell. When we are peaceful, that peace radiates outward, touching everyone we meet. We don't have to say a word to make a difference. Our vibration speaks for itself. This is the most powerful form of service we can offer to the world. As we move forward, let us carry this sense of peace with us like a precious treasure. Let us guard it with our awareness and nourish it with our kindness. And let us always remember that no matter how loud the monkey mind becomes, the silence of our true nature is always just one breath away. The stories we tell ourselves are the architects of our reality. If we tell ourselves that the world is a dangerous and stressful place, we will find evidence to support that belief everywhere we look. But if we tell ourselves a story of resilience, growth, and connection, we will find that the world reflects those qualities back to us. We have the power to change the narrative of our lives. By choosing stories that empower and soothe us, we create a mental environment where peace can thrive. In the ancient times, there was a traveler who was very afraid of the dark. He carried a small lantern with him everywhere he went. One night, the lantern went out, and he was terrified. He sat on the ground and waited for the morning, expecting monsters to attack him at any moment. But as the sun rose, he saw that he was sitting in a beautiful meadow filled with flowers. The darkness hadn't changed the meadow, it had only hidden it from his view. Our worries are like that darkness. They don't change the beauty of our lives, they only make it harder to see. When we find ourselves lost in thought, we can use the 5 senses technique to come back to the present. What are 5 things I can see? 4 things I can feel. 3 things I can hear. 2 things I can smell. 1 thing I can taste. This simple exercise shifts the focus from the abstract world of thought to the concrete world of physical sensation. It is a quick and effective way to ground ourselves when the monkey mind starts to take over. The quality of our attention is the most valuable thing we own. Where we place our attention determines the quality of our life. If we spend our time dwelling on our mistakes and our fears, we are wasting our precious energy. But if we place our attention on the things we are grateful for, the people we love, and the beauty that surrounds us, our lives will be rich and fulfilling. This is the secret to a happy and peaceful mind. We must also be mindful of the information we consume. Just as we are careful about the food we put into our bodies, we should be careful about the thoughts we put into our minds. If we spend all our time consuming news that is designed to make us afraid or angry, our minds will reflect that state. We should seek out stories and teachings that inspire us and lift our spirits. This mental diet is a crucial part of maintaining our inner balance. There is a deep wisdom in the cycles of the moon. It waxes and wanes, sometimes full and bright, sometimes dark and hidden. Yet, the moon itself is always there, moving through its natural phases. Our own minds have similar phases. There are times of great clarity and times of confusion. By accepting these phases as natural and temporary, we can move through them with much more grace. We don't have to panic when the light fades, because we know it will eventually return. When we face a difficult situation, we can ask ourselves, will this matter in 5 years? Most of the things we worry about will be long forgotten by then. This question provides instant perspective, helping us to see that many of our concerns are not as important as they seem in the heat of the moment. It allows us to let go of the small stuff and focus our energy on what truly matters. The art of being present is also the art of being patient. We cannot force a flower to bloom before its time, and we cannot force our minds to be perfectly still on command. We must provide the right conditions and then wait for the natural process to unfold. This patience is a form of love. It is about trusting in ourselves and in the wisdom of the life process. Imagine a large, old tree in the middle of a forest. It doesn't try to be anything other than a tree. It doesn't worry about whether the other trees are taller or more beautiful. It simply grows toward the light and provides a home for the birds. This simple authenticity is something we can strive for. When we stop trying to be someone else or to meet everyone else's expectations, we find a deep sense of relief. We are enough, just as we are. This feeling of being enough is the ultimate antidote to the monkey mind. Most of our overthinking comes from a place of insecurity, a feeling that we need to do more or be more to be worthy of love and respect. But when we realize that our worth is inherent and unchanging, the need to constantly prove ourselves disappears. We can finally relax and enjoy the experience of being alive. In the old accounts of the desert fathers and mothers, they often spoke of the importance of staying in your cell. They meant that instead of running away from our problems or seeking constant distraction, we should sit with ourselves and face whatever arises. This is where the real work happens. It is in the quiet confrontation with our own fears that we find our greatest strength. we learn that we are much stronger than we thought. The practice of mindfulness is like a thread that runs through everything we do. It is not just something we do when we are sitting in meditation, it is something we do when we are walking, talking, eating, and working. It is a way of living that is characterized by awareness and intention. When we live this way, every moment becomes an opportunity for growth and connection. Consider the way a river carves a path through the mountains. It doesn't do it through force, but through persistence. Over time, the soft water wears away the hard rock. Our consistent practice of returning to the present moment is like that water. It might not seem like much in a single day, but over weeks, months, and years, it reshapes the landscape of our minds, creating deep channels of peace and wisdom. When you are feeling overwhelmed, try to simplify your life as much as possible. Focus on the next small step. Don't worry about the whole staircase, just focus on the step you are on. This breaks the big, daunting tasks into manageable pieces and reduces the feeling of being burdened. Each small success builds confidence and helps to quiet the monkey mind. There is a great joy in the ordinary. The smell of fresh bread, the sound of rain on the roof, the feel of a soft blanket. These are the things that make life beautiful. When we are caught in overthinking, we miss these simple pleasures. But when we are present, we find that the world is full of small wonders that are waiting to be discovered. Let us be like the earth, which receives everything with equanimity. It doesn't complain when it rains or brag when the sun shines. It simply provides the foundation for all life. When we develop this kind of inner stability, we become a source of strength for everyone around us. We become the kind roots that hold the soil together and allow the forest to grow. The loquacious mind is often looking for answers, but sometimes the most important thing is to sit with the questions. Not everything has an immediate solution, and that is okay. By living with the questions, we allow the answers to emerge in their own time. This is a much more organic and sustainable way of living than trying to force everything into a neat and tidy box. As we continue on this journey, let us remember to be gentle with ourselves. We will have days when we feel perfectly calm and days when we feel completely scattered. This is all part of the process. The important thing is that we keep showing up, keep breathing, and keep returning to the present. We are learning a new way of being, and it takes time and practice. Think of the way a musician tunes their instrument before a performance. They listen carefully to the pitch and make small adjustments until everything is perfect. We can tune our minds in the same way. We can listen to our internal state and make small adjustments throughout the day. A few deep breaths here, a moment of gratitude there. These small acts of tuning keep us in harmony with ourselves and with the world. There is a profound freedom in realizing that we don't have to believe everything we think. Our thoughts are just suggestions, not commands. We can choose to ignore the ones that are unhelpful and focus on the ones that are supportive. This choice is the essence of mental health and well-being. It is the key to living a life that is directed by our values rather than our fears. Let us embrace the silence whenever we can find it. In the gaps between our thoughts, in the stillness of the early morning, in the quiet moments of the night. This silence is not empty, it is full of potential. It is the source of our creativity and our intuition. By spending time in the silence, we recharge our batteries and find the clarity we need to navigate our busy lives. The journey toward a calm mind is the most important journey we will ever take. It is the foundation for everything else in our lives. When our minds are calm, our bodies are healthier, our relationships are stronger, and our work is more meaningful. We become the best versions of ourselves, and we contribute to a more peaceful and compassionate world. Thank you for being part of this conversation. Your presence and your intention are what make this work possible. Let us continue to walk this path together, one breath at a time, with kindness in our hearts and peace in our minds. The world needs our calm now more than ever. Let us be the light that shines in the darkness, the harbor that offers refuge, and the kind roots that sustain the beauty of life. Consider the way a master weaver approaches their loom, knowing that every single thread must be placed with intention to create a fabric that is strong enough to last. Our patience is that loom, and each moment of mindful breathing is a thread being carefully laid down. We often feel a sense of urgency to fix our minds immediately, as if peace were a destination we could reach by running faster. But the very act of running is what keeps the peace away. It is in the slowing down, the deliberate pausing, and the softening of our gaze that the clarity we seek begins to emerge. When we look at the world through the lens of a quiet heart, we notice things that were previously hidden by the fog of our own frantic expectations. We see the way the light dances on the leaves, the subtle shift in the wind, and the unspoken needs of those around us. This heightened sensitivity is not a burden but a gift that allows us to live more deeply and authentically. In the old scrolls, there is a beautiful account of a young traveler who was obsessed with finding a legendary spring whose waters could grant perfect serenity. He climbed high mountains and crossed parched deserts, always looking at the horizon, never noticing the small streams he crossed along the way. Eventually, exhausted and defeated, he sat down by a common puddle to wash his face. As the water touched his skin, he realized that the serenity he sought was not in a specific location but in the quality of his own presence. The water in the puddle was just as refreshing as the water from the legendary spring because his heart had finally stopped searching and started receiving. We are often like that traveler, ignoring the small miracles of our daily lives because we are waiting for a grand transformation that may never come in the way we expect. The true transformation is the quiet one that happens right now, as you listen to the rhythm of your own pulse and feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. When the mind becomes loquacious with worries about the future, it is helpful to remember that the future is built out of 1,000 now moments. If we take care of this moment, the next one will naturally be on a firmer foundation. It is like building a stone wall. You don't worry about the top layer while you are still laying the base. You focus on the stone in your hand, making sure it is level and secure. This practical approach to mindfulness takes the pressure off our shoulders. We don't have to figure out the next 10 years, we only have to be present for the next 10 minutes. This simplicity is incredibly liberating. It allows us to move through our day with a sense of lightness and ease, knowing that we are doing exactly what needs to be done. Think about the character of water, which is often used as a symbol of the highest wisdom. Water is the softest substance, yet it can wear away the hardest rock. It does not fight against obstacles, it simply flows around them. If it finds a hole, it fills it. If it hits a wall, it waits until the level rises so it can flow over. This quality of adaptability is what we should cultivate in our own mental lives. When we encounter a difficult thought or a stressful situation, instead of meeting it with rigidity and resistance, we can meet it with the fluidity of water. We can acknowledge the obstacle without letting it stop our flow. This doesn't mean we are being passive, it means we are being intelligently resilient. We are choosing the path of least resistance, which is often the path of greatest effectiveness. There is a story of a craftsman who spent his entire life carving intricate patterns into wood. One day, a visitor asked him how he managed to stay so focused and calm for so many hours. The craftsman smiled and said that he didn't see himself as carving the wood, but rather as listening to what the wood wanted to become. He followed the grain, respected the knots, and worked with the natural strength of the material. Our minds are like that piece of wood. They have their own grains and knots, their own unique patterns formed by our experiences. When we try to force our minds into a shape that isn't natural to them, we create tension and frustration. But when we listen to our inner nature and work with it, we create something beautiful and harmonious. We learn to appreciate our own quirks and tendencies, seeing them not as flaws but as the very things that give our character its depth. The monkey mind is often just a part of us that is seeking safety. It scans the horizon for threats because it wants to protect us. When we understand this, we can stop being angry at our own anxieties and start treating them with a sense of protective kindness. We can talk to our worried thoughts as we would talk to a frightened child, acknowledging their fear but also reassuring them that they are safe in this moment. This shift from self-criticism to self-compassion is a turning point in our journey. It changes the internal atmosphere from one of conflict to one of cooperation. Instead of trying to silence the monkey, we are teaching it how to be still. We are showing it that it doesn't have to be on guard all the time, that there are moments when it can let go of the branch and simply rest on the ground. In the chronicles of a mountain monastery, there was once a seeker who was frustrated by the noise of the crickets at night. He felt that their chirping was preventing him from reaching a deep state of meditation. He complained to the elder, who suggested that instead of trying to shut out the sound, he should try to become the sound. The next night, the seeker stopped fighting the crickets and instead listened to them with his whole heart. He noticed the rhythm, the pitch, and the spaces between the chirps. Eventually, the sound didn't feel like a distraction anymore, it felt like a part of the silence itself. This is a powerful lesson in how to deal with the noise of our own thoughts. If we stop labeling them as distractions, and instead see them as part of the natural landscape of our awareness, they lose their power to disturb us. They become like the wind in the trees or the rain on the roof, a background texture that doesn't interfere with our fundamental peace. Every time we practice this kind of acceptance, we are strengthening our inner muscles of equanimity. Equanimity is not indifference, it is the ability to remain steady in the midst of both joy and sorrow. It is like the deep ocean which remains still even when the surface is being tossed by a gale. We all have this capacity for deep stillness within us, but it is often covered by the waves of our reactive emotions. By returning to the breath, we drop down below the surface and reconnect with that underlying stability. This is our true sanctuary, a place where the storms of life cannot reach. From this depth, we can observe the waves above with a sense of curiosity and detachment, knowing that they are temporary and do not define the ocean itself. Consider the beauty of a garden in the early morning, before the world has fully woken up. There is a stillness that feels almost tangible. The plants are simply being what they are, without any effort or ambition. They are not comparing themselves to each other or worrying about whether they will have enough sunlight tomorrow. They are perfectly present in their own existence. We can learn so much from this simple beingness. We spend so much of our lives doing that we forget how to just be. We think that our value is tied to our productivity, but our true value is inherent in our very existence. When we allow ourselves to just be, even for a few minutes a day, we are reclaiming our humanity. We are giving ourselves permission to rest in the richness of the present moment, without any agenda or expectation. This sense of beingness is also a form of honesty. It is about being honest with ourselves about how we feel, without trying to mask it with a layer of forced positivity. If we are tired, we acknowledge the tiredness. If we are sad, we acknowledge the sadness. This honesty is the foundation of true peace. You cannot find peace by lying to yourself about your internal state. When we admit the truth of our experience, the tension of trying to hold up a false front begins to dissolve. We find that we have much more energy when we are not wasting it on pretending to be something we are not. This authenticity is like a breath of fresh air for the soul, allowing us to move with a sense of integrity and grace. There was once a village that lived at the foot of a volcano. The people were always on edge, worried that the mountain might erupt at any moment. They spent their days watching the smoke and listening to the rumbles. One day, a wise traveler arrived and noticed their constant anxiety. He told them that while they couldn't control the volcano, they could control the way they lived in its shadow. He taught them how to focus on the fertility of the soil that the volcano provided, the beauty of the slopes, and the strength of their community. Over time, the people stopped being defined by their fear of the mountain and started being defined by their love for the land. Our worries are often like that volcano, a looming presence that we cannot entirely eliminate. But we can choose not to let those worries define our lives. We can focus on the blessings we have right now and the strength we find in our own resilience. When the mind starts to spin a web of complicated scenarios, try to bring it back to the most basic physical sensations. Feel the texture of your clothes against your skin, the temperature of the air, the way your chest expands and contracts. These are the real things, the anchors that keep us from being swept away by the current of our own imagination. We often live so much in our heads that we forget we have bodies. By reconnecting with the body, we are coming home to the reality of the present moment. This is a very grounding and stabilizing practice, especially when we feel like we are losing our grip on our own peace. In the old stories of the Buddha, he often spoke about the importance of right effort. Right effort is not the same as trying hard, it is about knowing which things to cultivate and which things to let go. It is like a musician who knows exactly how much pressure to apply to the strings. If they press too hard, the sound is harsh. If they press too lightly, there is no sound at all. We are looking for that perfect balance in our own lives. We want to be alert but not tense, relaxed but not sleepy. This balance is not a static state that we achieve once and for all. It is a dynamic process that we navigate every day. It requires a constant and gentle adjustment, a continuous returning to the center. Think about the space between the notes in a piece of music. Without that space, the music would just be a wall of noise. It is the silence that gives the melody its shape and its meaning. Our lives are the same way. We need the silence between our thoughts and the pauses between our actions to make our lives meaningful. When we rush from one thing to the next without any breaks, we lose the music of our existence. We become stressed and fragmented. By intentionally creating space in our day, we are allowing the melody of our soul to be heard. We are giving ourselves the room we need to breathe and to grow. There is a profound drollness in the way our minds try to solve problems by creating more problems. We worry about being worried, and then we get anxious about our anxiety. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. When we notice this happening, we can take a step back and simply observe the absurdity of the situation. This touch of humor is a powerful tool for breaking the cycle of overthinking. It allows us to see our mental habits for what they are, without taking them so seriously. A soft laugh can be more effective than 1,000 hours of intense analysis. It reminds us that we are human, and that it's okay to be a little messy sometimes. In the ancient records, there is a tale of a king who was haunted by a recurring dream of a tiger chasing him. He sought advice from every wise person in the kingdom, but no one could help him. Finally, a humble forest dweller told him that the next time the tiger appeared in his dream, he should stop running and simply ask the tiger what it wanted. The king was terrified, but the next night, he did as he was told. He turned around to face the tiger and asked, "What do you want?" The tiger stopped in its tracks and replied, "I don't know, it's your dream." This story highlights a fundamental truth about our internal fears. Many of the things that chase us in our minds only have power because we are running away from them. When we turn and face them with curiosity and courage, they often lose their form and their power. We realize that we were the ones giving them life all along. The journey toward a calm mind is also a journey toward a more compassionate world. When we are at peace with ourselves, we are naturally more patient and kind toward others. We stop projecting our own frustrations onto the people around us. We see their struggles as a reflection of our own, and we respond with empathy instead of judgment. This creates a positive cycle of connection and understanding that can transform our families and our communities. Our inner peace is not a selfish pursuit, it is a contribution to the well-being of the entire planet. By healing ourselves, we are helping to heal the world. Let us consider the metaphor of a mirror. A mirror reflects whatever is in front of it without becoming attached to the image. It reflects a beautiful flower and a muddy puddle with the same clarity and equanimity. It doesn't try to keep the flower or push away the puddle. Our awareness should be like that mirror. We can allow all kinds of thoughts and emotions to pass through our consciousness without getting stuck on any of them. We don't have to identify with the images, we are the mirror itself. This perspective provides a sense of vastness and freedom that is truly profound. It allows us to experience the full range of human emotions without being consumed by them. When the monkey mind is particularly active, it can be helpful to give it a job to do. Instead of letting it wander aimlessly into the past or the future, we can ask it to focus on a specific task in the present. This could be counting our breaths, noticing the details of an object, or repeating a simple and soothing phrase. By giving the mind a focus, we are harnessing its energy and directing it towards something that supports our peace. This is like giving a restless child a toy to play with. It keeps them occupied and out of trouble, allowing the rest of the house to remain quiet. In one of the old parables, a teacher asked his students how they would know when the night had ended and the day had begun. One student suggested it was when you could distinguish a dog from a sheep from a distance. Another suggested it was when you could tell a palm tree from a fig tree. The teacher shook his head and said, "It is when you can look into the face of any human being and see that they are your brother or your sister. Until then, it is still night in your heart." This beautiful teaching reminds us that our inner peace is deeply connected to our sense of kinship with all living beings. When we see the world as a family rather than a collection of strangers or enemies, our hearts naturally soften and our minds become more still. The barriers of fear and judgment begin to fall away, leaving room for love and understanding to grow. The practice of mindfulness is also a practice of deep gratitude. When we are present, we notice all the things that are going right in our lives, even in the midst of challenges. We feel grateful for the air we breathe, the food we eat, the people who support us, and the simple fact of being alive. This gratitude is like a warm light that dissolves the shadows of our worries. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, creating a sense of abundance and contentment. Even a small moment of genuine gratitude can change the entire tone of our day. It is a powerful antidote to the restless and wanting nature of the loquacious mind. Imagine the strength of a bridge that spans a wide river. It doesn't try to stop the water from flowing, it simply provides a stable path for those who need to cross. We can be like that bridge in our own lives. We can allow the river of thoughts and emotions to flow beneath us, while we remain steady and grounded in our own awareness. We can provide a path for ourselves and for others to move through the difficulties of life with grace and resilience. This image of the bridge helps us to understand that we don't have to be afraid of the flow of life, we just need to have a strong and stable foundation. The path we are walking is not always easy, but it is always rewarding. Each time we choose presence over overthinking, we are making a choice for life. Each time we choose kindness over judgment, we are making a choice for love. These choices, made moment by moment, are what create a life of meaning and purpose. They are the kind roots that will sustain us through all the seasons of our lives. Let us continue to nurture these roots with patience, compassion, and a quiet sense of joy. Think about the way a forest recovers after a fire. At first, everything looks black and dead. But soon, tiny green shoots begin to emerge from the ashes. The fire has cleared away the old, dead wood and made room for new growth. The soil is rich with nutrients, and the forest will eventually become even more vibrant than it was before. Our own challenges can be like that fire. They can be painful and destructive, but they also have the potential to clear away old patterns and make room for something new and beautiful to grow. By approaching our difficulties with a spirit of openness and learning, we can turn our ashes into fertile ground for our own transformation. When you find yourself caught in a loop of repetitive thoughts, try to change your physical environment. Go for a walk, open a window, or simply move to a different room. This physical movement can help to break the mental loop and give you a fresh perspective. It's a simple way to signal to your brain that it's time to move on to something else. Sometimes, a change of scenery is all we need to find our way back to the present moment. It's a reminder that we are not stuck in our thoughts, and that there is a whole world out there waiting for us to engage with it. There is a story of a great artist who was asked how he managed to create such lifelike statues. He replied that he didn't create the statue, he simply chipped away the excess stone to reveal the figure that was already inside. This is a perfect metaphor for the process of calming the mind. We are not trying to create peace, we are trying to chip away the excess of our own worries, judgments, and distractions to reveal the peace that is already there. Our true nature is already calm and clear, we just need to uncover it. This is a very encouraging thought, because it means that we already have everything we need. We don't have to look outside ourselves for peace, we just have to look within. In the ancient traditions, there is a lot of emphasis on the power of noble silence. This is not just about not speaking, it is about cultivating a quiet heart. It is about listening more than we talk, and observing more than we react. When we are silent, we are more likely to hear the whispers of our own wisdom and the needs of those around us. We are more likely to notice the beauty of the world and the richness of the present moment. Noble silence is a form of deep respect for ourselves and for the life we are living. It is a way of creating a sanctuary in the midst of a noisy world. Every time we find ourselves being pulled away by the monkey mind, we have an opportunity to practice the art of returning. We don't have to be perfect, we just have to be persistent. The act of returning is itself the practice. It's like a child learning to walk. They fall down many times, but they keep getting back up. They don't judge themselves for falling, they just focus on taking the next step. We can approach our mindfulness practice with that same sense of playfulness and determination. Every time we return to the breath, we are taking a step toward a more peaceful and centered life. Consider the intricate beauty of a snowflake. No two are exactly alike, yet each one is perfectly formed according to the laws of nature. Our lives are also unique and perfectly formed, even when they don't look the way we think they should. When we stop comparing our lives to some ideal standard, we can start to appreciate the unique beauty of our own experience. We can see the perfection in our imperfections, and the order in our chaos. This perspective shifts our focus from what is wrong to what is real, allowing us to live with much more acceptance and joy. The path of peace is a path of simplicity. It's about letting go of the need for more and learning to be content with what we have. It's about focusing on the essentials and letting go of the rest. When our lives are simple, our minds are naturally more quiet. We have fewer things to worry about and more time to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. This simplicity is not about deprivation, it's about freedom. It's about freeing ourselves from the constant pressure to consume, to achieve, and to impress. It's about finding our own, kind roots in the simple and the ordinary. Let us be like the night sky, which holds the stars and the moon in a vast and silent embrace. The sky does not try to control the movements of the celestial bodies, it simply provides the space for them to shine. Our awareness should be that vast and silent space. We can hold our thoughts and emotions with the same spaciousness and grace. This perspective allows us to be in the world without being of the world, to participate in the dance of life without losing our inner stillness. When the mind is loquacious, it is often because it is trying to protect us from uncertainty. We want to know what's going to happen, and we want to have a plan for every possibility. But the truth is that life is inherently uncertain, and no amount of thinking can change that. Instead of fighting the uncertainty, we can learn to embrace it. We can see it as the space where new possibilities are born. When we stop demanding certainty, we find a sense of freedom and excitement that was previously hidden by our fear. We can step into the unknown with a sense of wonder and curiosity, knowing that we have the inner resources to handle whatever comes our way. In the old accounts of the desert, there is a story of a monk who was asked how he managed to stay so happy despite his simple and lonely life. He replied that he never felt lonely because he was always in the company of his own heart. He had made friends with himself, and that was enough. This is a powerful goal for all of us. When we make friends with our own hearts, we are never truly alone. We find a source of comfort and support that is always with us, regardless of our external circumstances. This inner friendship is the key to a resilient and peaceful mind. Imagine a small bird sitting on a branch during a storm. The branch is swaying and the wind is howling, but the bird continues to sing. It doesn't worry about the branch breaking, because it trusts in its own wings. We can be like that bird. We don't have to trust that the world will always be safe and predictable, we just need to trust in our own wings, our own inner strength and wisdom. This self-trust is the ultimate antidote to anxiety. It allows us to face the storms of life with a sense of courage and even a bit of song. As we move through our day, let us practice the art of the pause. Before we react to a difficult email, a frustrating conversation, or a stressful situation, let us take one deep breath. That single breath creates a tiny bit of space where we can choose our response instead of just reacting from our old habits. It's a small act that can have a huge impact on our peace of mind and the quality of our relationships. It's a way of reclaiming our power and living with more intention and grace. The beauty of the kind roots we are planting is that they grow stronger over time. The more we practice being present and kind to ourselves, the easier it becomes. We are creating new grooves in our minds, pathways of peace that will eventually become our natural way of being. This is a journey of 1,000 steps, and each one is worth taking. Let us continue to walk together, supporting each other with kindness and understanding. The world is waiting for our peace, and we are ready to offer it. Consider the way a river eventually reaches the sea. It doesn't have a map, and it doesn't know the way, but it follows the pull of gravity and the contours of the land. It might get stuck in a pool or have to flow through a narrow canyon, but it never stops moving toward its destination. Our journey toward peace is the same way. We might get sidetracked by our worries or feel stuck in our anxieties, but the natural pull of our own wisdom will eventually lead us home. We just need to keep moving, keep breathing, and keep trusting in the process. In the old scrolls, there is a teaching about the 3 jewels of wisdom, compassion, and presence. When these 3 things work together, they create a state of perfect harmony. Wisdom allows us to see the truth of our experience. Compassion allows us to meet that truth with kindness. Presence allows us to stay with that truth in the here and now. By cultivating these 3 qualities, we are building a life that is grounded, balanced, and deeply meaningful. The monkey mind is not a monster that we need to slay, it is a part of our own humanity that needs to be understood. When we look at it with the eyes of wisdom and the heart of compassion, its antics begin to lose their power. We see that its loquacious nature is just a sign of its own restlessness and fear. We can offer it a place of rest in the vast space of our own awareness. We can show it that it is safe to be still. This is the ultimate act of self-love, and it is the foundation of a truly calm and peaceful mind. As we conclude this part of our conversation, let us take a moment to simply breathe together. Feel the connection between us, and the connection between all living beings who are seeking peace. We are not alone on this journey. We are part of a vast and beautiful tapestry of life, and our individual peace is a vital thread in that design. Let us carry this sense of connection and peace with us as we move into the next moments of our lives. The journey continues, and we are exactly where we need to be. The rhythm of that shared breath remains like a gentle vibration in the air, a reminder that we are never truly isolated in our quest for tranquility. It is fascinating to observe how the mind, when left to its own devices, acts like a weaver who has lost the pattern, throwing threads of thought in every direction until a tangled web of what-ifs and if-onlys obscures the beautiful reality of the present. Yet, the moment we return to the physical sensation of the air entering our lungs, we find the beginning of the thread again. We realize that the complexity of our problems is often just a layer of mental dust over a very simple truth. Life is happening right now, in the rise and fall of our chests, in the subtle warmth of our palms, and in the quiet space between 2 heartbeats. There is a profound honesty in this simplicity that the loquacious mind often tries to avoid because it cannot argue with a heartbeat. In the ancient chronicles of a wandering sage, there is a story about a woman who carried a heavy wooden bucket of water from the river to her home every day. The bucket had a small crack, and by the time she reached her house, it was only half full. She felt ashamed of her perceived failure and apologized to the path she walked upon for wasting the water. The path replied by asking her to look down. Where the water had leaked, beautiful wildflowers had grown, nourished by the very flaw she despised. Our restless thoughts and the anxieties we consider to be our greatest weaknesses are often like that cracked bucket. They are part of our unique journey, and if we approach them with a soft heart, they can become the very source of our deepest growth and compassion for others. We don't need to be perfect to be useful or to be at peace. Our cracks are often where the light of understanding enters. When the mental chatter becomes a deafening roar, try to imagine your awareness as a wide, open window. The birds of thought may fly in and out, some chirping loudly and others barely making a sound. If you try to catch the birds or cage them, the room becomes chaotic and filled with feathers and noise. But if you simply leave the window open, the birds will eventually fly out on their own, drawn by the vastness of the sky outside. You are the room, stable and grounded, while the thoughts are merely transient visitors. This shift in perspective allows you to host even the most difficult emotions without being defined by them. You can say to a wave of anxiety, "I see you, you are here," and then return your attention to the solid floor beneath your feet. There is a subtle humor in how we often treat our minds like a television that we cannot turn off. We sit there, mesmerized by the drama, the horror, and the suspense, forgetting that we are the ones holding the remote control. We can choose to change the channel or, better yet, we can choose to step out of the room entirely and go for a walk in the garden of our actual lives. The monkey mind loves a good script, especially one where it is the misunderstood hero or the victim of circumstance. By recognizing these recurring patterns, we can start to see them as the repetitive reruns they truly are. We can smile at the familiarity of the plot and then gently bring our focus back to the sensation of the cup in our hands or the sound of the wind in the chimney. Consider the life of a tree during the changing seasons. In the autumn, it lets go of its leaves without a struggle. It doesn't try to hold on to the green of summer because it trusts that the winter is a necessary time of rest and that the spring will bring new life in its own time. We often struggle because we try to stay in the summer of our lives forever, resisting the natural cycles of ebb and flow. When we feel a sense of mental winter approaching, where things feel cold, stagnant, or uncertain, we can choose to be like the tree. We can settle deep into our roots and wait with a quiet confidence. This is not a time of doing, but a time of being. It is a sacred interval where the soul prepares for its next blooming. In the old texts, there is a story of a young monk who was assigned the task of sweeping the courtyard every morning. No matter how hard he swept, the wind would always blow more leaves down, making his work seem endless. He complained to his teacher, who told him that the goal was not to have a clean courtyard, but to be a person who sweeps. This simple shift transformed the monk's life. He stopped fighting the leaves and started enjoying the movement of the broom, the smell of the dust, and the coolness of the morning air. He found that when he stopped focusing on the result, the work itself became a meditation. We can apply this to our own mental landscape. Our goal is not to have a mind that is forever empty of thoughts, but to be a person who is aware of their thoughts. The awareness is the practice, and it is available to us in every single moment. The world often demands that we have an opinion on everything, that we take a side and defend it with vigor. This constant state of mental defense is exhausting and keeps the monkey mind in a state of perpetual high alert. There is a great power in the words, "I don't know." When we admit that we don't have all the answers, the tension in our minds begins to dissolve. We stop trying to control the uncontrollable and instead open ourselves up to the mystery of life. This openness is where true wisdom begins. It is the fertile soil where new ideas and unexpected solutions can grow. By letting go of the need to be right, we find the freedom to be at peace. Imagine a clear mountain lake. When the air is still, the surface of the lake is like a mirror, reflecting the sky and the surrounding peaks with perfect clarity. But when a stone is thrown into the water, the ripples distort the reflection. Our thoughts are like those stones. Some are small pebbles of minor concern, while others are large boulders of significant worry. If we keep throwing stones into the lake to try to stop the ripples, we only create more disturbance. The only way to restore the reflection is to stop throwing stones and wait for the water to settle. This waiting is the essence of mindfulness. It is a courageous act of non-doing that allows the natural clarity of our being to re-emerge. The kind roots we are nurturing within ourselves are nourished by the quality of our self-talk. We would never speak to a dear friend with the harshness and judgment that we often use on ourselves. We must learn to be our own most compassionate ally. When we catch our minds wandering into dark places, we can gently guide them back with words of encouragement. We can say, "It's okay, you're just tired," or "This is a difficult moment, let's just breathe through it together." This internal kindness acts as a lubricant for the gears of the mind, allowing them to turn more smoothly and with less friction. It transforms our inner world from a battlefield into a sanctuary. In the records of an ancient forest, there lived a bird with a song so beautiful that it could calm even the fiercest predators. When asked for the secret of its song, the bird replied that it didn't sing to be heard, but because it was filled with the joy of the sunshine. It didn't worry about whether its song was better than the other birds or whether it would still be able to sing tomorrow. It simply expressed the beauty it felt in the present moment. We can find our own song by connecting with the simple joys that are always available to us. The warmth of a ray of sun, the taste of a piece of fruit, the comfort of a soft chair. These are not small things, they are the notes that make up the music of a peaceful life. When we are caught in the grip of overthinking, our perspective becomes very narrow. We see only our problems and our fears, as if we were looking through a long, dark tunnel. Mindfulness helps us to step back and widen our view. We start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and eventually, we realize that we are not even in a tunnel at all. We are in a vast landscape filled with beauty and possibility. This expanded awareness changes the scale of our worries. A problem that seemed insurmountable when we were looking through the tunnel becomes just one small feature of a much larger terrain. We find that we have the space to move around it, to look at it from different angles, and to find a way forward. Think of the way a potter works with a spinning wheel. They use their hands to guide the clay, but they also have to trust the momentum of the wheel. If they push too hard, the pot will collapse. If they don't push enough, the clay will remain a shapeless lump. There is a delicate dance between effort and surrender. This is the same dance we perform with our minds. We use our intention to guide our thoughts toward peace, but we also have to trust the natural momentum of our own awareness. We have to allow the will of our life to turn at its own pace, without trying to force it to go faster or slower. This trust is what allows us to create a life that is both beautiful and functional. In the stories of the masters, there is often a mention of the beginner's mind. This is a state of being where we approach everything with a sense of wonder and curiosity, as if we are seeing it for the very first time. When we have a beginner's mind, we are not burdened by our past experiences or our future expectations. We are fully present in the now. We can apply this to our own overthinking. Instead of seeing our worries as familiar enemies, we can look at them with curiosity. Oh, there's that thought again. I wonder where it came from. I wonder what it's trying to tell me. This investigative approach takes the sting out of the worry and turns it into an object of study. We become the scientists of our own consciousness, observing the phenomena of the mind without being swept away by them. The loquacious nature of the mind is often a result of our desire for importance. We want to feel like our thoughts are significant, that our problems are unique, and that our worries are a sign of our responsibility. But there is a profound peace in being unimportant. When we realize that the universe is vast and that our individual lives are just a tiny part of it, the weight on our shoulders begins to lift. We don't have to carry the world, we just have to inhabit our own small corner of it with as much love and presence as possible. This humility is not about thinking less of ourselves, it is about thinking of ourselves less. It is a way of clearing the mental space so that we can truly see and serve others. Consider the silence of a desert at night. To the uninitiated, it may seem empty and dead. But to those who know it well, it is full of life and ancient wisdom. The stars seem closer, the air is pure, and the stillness is so deep that you can hear your own heart beating. Our own inner silence is like that desert. It may seem intimidating at first, but if we have the courage to enter it, we find a wealth of resources we never knew we had. We find a sense of clarity that is undisturbed by the noise of the world. We find a source of strength that is rooted in the very core of our being. This silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of a deeper harmony. In one of the old parables, a traveler was caught in a storm and sought refuge in a cave. He was terrified of the thunder and the lightning, and he huddled in the back of the cave, trembling with fear. But then he noticed a small spider in the corner of the cave, calmly weaving its web. The spider didn't seem to care about the storm, it was completely focused on its work. The traveler realized that he could choose to be like the spider. He couldn't stop the storm, but he could choose where to place his attention. He sat up, took a deep breath, and began to observe the beauty of the rain falling outside the cave. The storm was still there, but his fear was gone. We can always choose to be the spider, focusing on the simple, constructive tasks of the present moment while the storms of life rage around us. The practice of mindfulness is also a practice of deep listening to the body. Our bodies are constantly sending us signals, but we often ignore them because we are too busy listening to the noise in our heads. A tightness in the jaw, a heaviness in the chest, a fluttering in the stomach. These are the physical manifestations of our thoughts. By bringing our awareness to these sensations, we can unhook the mind from the loop of overthinking. We can breathe into the tightness and allow it to soften. We can offer compassion to the part of us that is feeling heavy. This somatic approach to peace is very effective because it addresses the problem at its root, in our physical nervous system. Imagine the grace of a swan gliding across a pond. Above the water, it looks calm and effortless, but beneath the surface, its feet are paddling furiously. This is a good metaphor for how we can navigate our lives. We can maintain an outer sense of calm and composure, even when we are working hard or facing challenges. The paddling is our effort, our action, and our engagement with the world. The gliding is our inner state of peace and equanimity. We can be both active and still at the same time. This is the secret of the kind roots lifestyle. It is about living with intensity and purpose, while staying rooted in a deep sense of internal tranquility. Every moment of our lives is an opportunity to practice this balance. When we are waiting in line, when we are stuck in traffic, when we are doing the dishes. These are not lost moments, they are the very moments where we can build our mindfulness muscles. Instead of reaching for our phones or getting frustrated, we can use the time to check in with our breath and our body. We can practice being present in the boring moments, so that we have the strength to stay present in the difficult ones. This consistent practice turns our daily routine into a sacred path of self-discovery. Think about the way a child learns to read. At first, the letters are just meaningless shapes. Then they start to recognize the sounds, then the words, and finally, they can understand the meaning of the entire story. Our journey toward a calm mind is very similar. At first, the practice of mindfulness feels clunky and difficult. We can only stay present for a few seconds before the monkey mind takes over. But as we continue to practice, we start to recognize the letters of our thoughts and the words of our emotions. We begin to understand the story of our own consciousness. This understanding brings a sense of mastery and confidence. We no longer feel like victims of our own minds, we feel like the authors of our own experience. In the old accounts of the mountain hermits, they often spoke about the peace that passes all understanding. This is not a peace that comes from having everything go our way. It is a peace that remains even when things are falling apart. It is a peace that is not dependent on external conditions, but on our own internal state of being. This is the ultimate goal of our practice. It is to find that unshakable center within ourselves, the kind roots that can withstand any storm. When we find this peace, we carry it with us wherever we go, and it becomes a gift that we share with everyone we meet. As we move through our day, let us practice the art of the soft landing. When a difficult thought or a stressful situation arises, instead of crashing into it with resistance, let us aim for a soft landing. Let us meet it with a sense of openness and curiosity. Let us breathe into it and allow it to be there, without needing to change it or fix it right away. This softness is not weakness, it is a profound form of strength. It allows us to absorb the impact of life's challenges without being broken by them. It is the quality of a willow tree that bends in the wind, while the rigid oak tree snaps. The beauty of this practice is that it is always available to us. We don't need a special room, a special cushion, or a special teacher. We just need our own breath and our own intention. In every moment, we have the choice to return to the center. In every breath, we have the chance to start again. This is the great promise of the path we are walking. It is a path of constant renewal and infinite possibility. Let us continue to walk it with courage, compassion, and a quiet sense of joy. Consider the way a musician practices a difficult piece of music. They don't just play it once and expect it to be perfect. They practice it over and over again, slowly and with great attention to detail. They focus on the difficult parts, breaking them down into smaller sections and practicing them until they are smooth. We can practice our mindfulness in the same way. We can focus on the difficult parts of our minds, the recurring worries and the persistent anxieties. We can practice being present with them, bit by bit, until they no longer have the power to disturb us. This mental practice is what leads to a life of harmony and grace. In the stories of the masters, there is often a mention of the hidden treasure that is buried within each of us. This treasure is our own true nature, our innate wisdom and compassion. The monkey mind is like the dirt and rocks that are covering the treasure. Our practice is the work of digging, of clearing away the layers of overthinking and distraction to reveal the beauty that has always been there. It is a work of love and patience, and the reward is a life that is rich with meaning and purpose. We are all treasure hunters in the landscape of our own souls. Let us be like the morning mist, which gently touches everything it encounters without clinging to anything. It moves through the trees, over the hills, and across the fields, bringing a sense of freshness and mystery to the world. When the sun rises, the mist evaporates, leaving behind only the dew on the grass. Our thoughts and emotions should be like that mist. We can experience them fully, but we don't have to hold on to them. We can allow them to dissolve back into the vastness of our own awareness, leaving behind only the dew of our own wisdom. When the mind is loquacious, it is often because it is trying to think its way out of a problem. But some problems cannot be solved with thinking, they can only be solved with being. By simply being with the problem, by observing it without judgment, we allow the solution to emerge from a deeper level of our consciousness. This is the power of non-local intelligence, the wisdom that is available to us when we step out of the limited perspective of the ego. It is like waiting for a seed to sprout. We can provide the water and the sunlight, but we cannot think the seed into growing. We must trust the natural process of life. In the ancient records, there is a tale of a king who was so obsessed with his own reflection that he had mirrors placed in every room of his palace. He spent all his time looking at himself, worried about every wrinkle and every gray hair. One day, a wise traveler took him to a high mountain peak and showed him the vastness of the world below. The king realized that he was just a tiny speck in a grand and beautiful universe. He returned to his palace and had all the mirrors removed. He stopped worrying about his reflection and started caring for his people. This is the shift we are looking for in our own lives. When we stop being so focused on our own reflection, on our own worries and self-image, we can finally see the beauty of the world and the needs of those around us. The practice of mindfulness is also a practice of deep forgiveness. We must forgive ourselves for all the times we have lost our way, for all the times we have been caught in overthinking, and for all the times we have let our anxieties get the best of us. We are human, and it is natural to struggle. By offering ourselves forgiveness, we clear away the guilt and shame that only add to our mental chatter. We start fresh in this moment, with a clean slate and a willing heart. This self-forgiveness is a powerful act of liberation that allows us to move forward with a sense of lightness and hope. Imagine the peace of a winter forest under a blanket of snow. Everything is muffled and still, and the world seems to be holding its breath. This is the quality of the silence we can find within ourselves. It is a silence that is deep, cool, and incredibly refreshing. It is a place where we can go to find rest when the world feels too loud and too fast. By cultivating this inner winter, we create a sanctuary that is always available to us, no matter what is happening on the outside. We find that the coldness of the silence is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced as a source of deep healing. As we move toward the next steps of our journey, let us carry with us the sense of spaciousness we have cultivated. Let us remember that we are the sky, not the clouds. Let us trust in our own kind roots, and in the natural wisdom of our own hearts. We are learning to live with more presence, more compassion, and more joy. And as we do, we find that the loquacious nature of our thoughts becomes a soft background hum, no longer capable of drowning out the quiet beauty of being alive. The path is clear, our hearts are open, and we are exactly where we need to be. The air around us feels different when we are no longer fighting the flow of our own experience. There is a sense of ease, a feeling that we are finally in step with the rhythm of the universe. This is not a state of perfection, but a state of connection. We are connected to ourselves, to others, and to the world in a way that is profound and life-affirming. We realize that we are not separate from the life we are living, we are the life itself. And in that realization, we find the ultimate peace. Let us keep walking, one breath at a time, toward the full expression of our own beautiful and peaceful nature. Think of the way a sculptor looks at a block of marble. They don't see a solid, unchanging object, they see the potential for a masterpiece. They work with the material, respecting its grain and its strength, chipping away the excess to reveal the beauty within. We are the sculptors of our own minds. Every choice we make to be present, every decision to be kind, every moment we choose to let go of a worry is a stroke of the chisel. We are creating a masterpiece of peace, one moment at a time. It's a work that takes a lifetime, and it's the most beautiful thing we will ever create. In the old accounts of the desert, there is a story of a traveler who found a small oasis with a single palm tree and a clear spring. He was so grateful for the water and the shade that he decided to stay and care for the oasis. Over time, he planted more trees and dug more springs, and the oasis grew until it could support a whole community. Our own inner peace is like that oasis. It starts with a single spring of awareness and a single tree of compassion. But as we nurture it, it grows until it becomes a source of life and refreshment for everyone we encounter. We are the guardians of our own inner oasis, and our work is to keep the water clear and the trees growing. Every breath is a reminder that we are supported by a force that is much larger than ourselves. We don't have to do anything to breathe, the air is provided, and the body knows what to do. This is a profound lesson in trust. If we can trust our bodies to breathe, can we trust our lives to unfold in their own way? Can we let go of the need to control every detail and instead trust in the natural wisdom of the life process? When we do, we find a sense of relief that is truly liberating. We can finally stop pushing and start flowing, moving with the current of our own existence with a sense of wonder and ease. The loquacious mind is always looking for the next thing, but the truly peaceful mind is content with this thing. This doesn't mean we don't have goals or aspirations, but it means that our happiness is not dependent on them. We can enjoy the process of working toward a goal without being consumed by the need to achieve it. This process-oriented way of living is much more sustainable and satisfying than being constantly focused on the result. It allows us to find joy in the ordinary tasks of our daily lives, and to see every moment as a destination in itself. Let us be like the moon, which reflects the light of the sun without trying to be the sun. We are reflectors of the divine peace that is the source of all life. When we clear away the clouds of our own overthinking, that light can shine through us with perfect clarity. We become a beacon of hope and a source of comfort for a world that is often lost in the darkness of its own worries. Our peace is not just for us, it is a light that we carry for everyone. Let us keep our mirrors clean and our hearts open, so that the light of peace can shine through us in all its beauty and power. As we move forward into the next part of our day, let us carry this sense of quiet confidence with us. Let us remember that we are the architects of our own internal environment, and that we have the power to create a space of peace and compassion within ourselves. No matter what challenges we face, we can always return to our kind roots, to the simple and profound reality of our own presence. We are growing in wisdom, in strength, and in peace, and the world is a better place because of it. Keep breathing, keep being, and keep trusting in the beautiful journey of your own life. The world may be noisy and chaotic, but your inner world can be a sanctuary of stillness and grace. This is the promise of the path we are walking, and it is a promise that is being fulfilled in every mindful moment. You are doing the work, you are making the choices, and you are creating a life that is defined by peace. Be proud of yourself, be kind to yourself, and keep moving forward with a quiet sense of joy. The best is yet to come, and it is happening right now, in the very heart of your own beautiful and peaceful being. The echo of that quiet confidence resides in the very marrow of our bones, a silent strength that does not need to shout to be felt. When we move through the world with this internal anchor, we begin to notice that the frantic energy of others no longer has the same magnetic pull on our own spirit. We can stand in the middle of a crowded street or a busy office and remain as still as the center of a hurricane. This stillness is not a wall that shuts people out, but a doorway that invites them in to experience a different way of being. We often think that to be helpful, we must be as agitated as the person we are trying to help, but the opposite is true. A person who is drowning needs a stable pier to climb onto, not another person splashing wildly in the water beside them. Your stability is the greatest service you can offer to those who are lost in the waves of their own loquacious minds. In the ancient parables of the Eastern Mountains, there is a story of a stonecutter who was never satisfied with his life. He wished to be a king, then the sun, then a cloud, and finally a storm wind. As a wind, he blew against a great stone, but the stone would not move. He realized then that the stone was the most powerful thing of all, and he wished to be the stone. When he became the stone, he felt a sharp chisel striking his side and realized that the stonecutter was the one with the true power to shape reality. We spend so much time wishing to be something other than what we are, thinking that peace lies in a different status, a different job, or a different personality. But the power to shape our experience lies in the very hands we hold right now. We are the stone, the chisel, and the sculptor all at once. By accepting our current form while mindfully carving away the habits of worry, we find a satisfaction that no external change could ever provide. When the mind begins to spin tales of inadequacy, compare your journey to the growth of a bamboo tree. For the first several years, there is no visible growth above the ground. To an observer, it looks as though nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, the bamboo is developing a massive and intricate root system that will eventually support its rapid ascent toward the sky. Once the roots are established, the tree can grow several feet in a single day. Our practice of calming the monkey mind is often in that hidden, underground phase. We may feel like we are making no progress, that our thoughts are just as restless as ever. But every time we choose to return to the breath, we are strengthening those kind roots. We are building the foundation that will one day allow us to stand tall and unshakable, regardless of how fast the world around us is moving. Consider the nature of a mirror once more, specifically how it handles a reflection of a fire. The mirror shows the flames, the heat, and the smoke with perfect accuracy, yet the mirror itself never becomes hot. It does not burn, and it is not consumed by the drama it reflects. Our pure awareness is exactly like that mirror. We can experience the heat of anger or the smoke of confusion, but the part of us that is aware of these things remains cool and untouched. When we identify with the flames, we suffer. When we identify with the mirror, we find freedom. This subtle shift in identification is the key to navigating the most intense emotional storms without losing our sense of self. We learn to say, "There is a fire of anxiety passing through," instead of saying, "I am anxious." The difference is small in language but vast in the landscape of our internal peace. There is a charming story about a village elder who was known for his incredible patience. A young man asked him how he managed to never lose his temper or become overwhelmed. The elder took the young man to a stream and asked him to throw a handful of salt into a small cup of water. When the young man tasted it, the water was bitter and undrinkable. Then the elder asked him to throw a handful of salt into the wide river. When the young man tasted the river water, it was fresh and sweet. The elder explained that the salt is the pain of life, but the taste of that pain depends on the container we put it in. If we have a small, narrow mind, even a little bit of worry makes us bitter. But if we expand our hearts to be as wide as the river, the worries lose their power to spoil our joy. Expanding our awareness through mindfulness is how we turn our cup into a river. When you find yourself ruminating on a mistake from the past, imagine that you are watching a movie of your life. If you keep rewinding to the same scene where you tripped or said the wrong thing, you miss the rest of the story. The movie is still playing, and new, beautiful scenes are unfolding while you are staring at the past. The past is a library of lessons, not a prison where we are meant to live. We can visit the library, take the book of wisdom we need, and then walk back out into the sunlight of the present. The loquacious mind loves to play judge and jury, but we can choose to be the forgiving audience, acknowledging that every character in the story is doing their best with the script they were given at the time. In the forgotten journals of a forest dweller, it was written that the most profound language is the one spoken by the silence between the trees. In that silence, there is no competition, no judgment, and no need to prove anything. The oak does not apologize for being an oak, and the moss does not feel inferior to the pine. They all share the same earth and breathe the same air. We can bring this forest wisdom into our human interactions. When we stop trying to outshine others or defend our ego, a natural harmony emerges. We find that we don't need to speak as much because our presence communicates everything that needs to be said. This economy of words leads to a great reservoir of mental energy that we can use for deeper reflection and genuine kindness. Think of the way a master archer handles their bow. They don't grip it with white knuckles, nor do they hold it so loosely that it falls. There is a sweet spot of tension that allows the arrow to fly true. Our effort to calm the mind should have that same quality. If we try too hard to force the mind to be quiet, we create a new kind of mental noise. If we are too lazy, we get swept away by the current of our habits. We are looking for that middle path of gentle, persistent alertness. It is like holding a small, delicate bird in your hand, too tight and you crush it, too loose and it flies away. This delicate touch is what allows our inner peace to settle and grow of its own accord. There is a deep intelligence in the way our bodies heal. If you cut your finger, you don't have to think the skin back together. You don't have to give the cells instructions on how to bridge the gap. You simply keep the wound clean and protected, and the natural intelligence of life takes care of the rest. Our minds have this same capacity for self-healing. When we stop picking at the wounds of our worries and stop agitating the scabs of our past, the natural clarity of our consciousness begins to repair itself. Our job is not to fix the mind, but to create the environment where the mind can fix itself. This environment is built with the bricks of silence and the mortar of non-judgmental awareness. In the legends of an island people, they speak of a spirit of the deep that resides in the middle of the ocean. While the surface might be ravaged by typhoons and giant waves, the deep remains in a state of eternal calm. The fish that live there move with a slow, rhythmic grace, unaffected by the chaos above. We carry this deep within our own hearts. No matter how many typhoons are happening in our external lives or our superficial thoughts, the core of our being is already at peace. We don't have to create this peace, we only have to descend into it. Every meditation, every mindful breath, and every moment of intentional silence is a way of diving beneath the waves to touch that eternal stillness. The loquacious mind often uses the word should to whip us into a state of anxiety. I should be further along in my career, I should be a better parent, I should be more enlightened. This word is a heavy chain that drags us out of the present and into a fantasy world of perfection. When you hear the word should in your head, try replacing it with could or simply acknowledging what is. I am here. I am breathing. This is enough. By removing the pressure of these imaginary standards, we allow ourselves to grow naturally, like a flower that blooms when the conditions are right, not because someone told it that it should have bloomed yesterday. Consider the intricate work of a clockmaker. Each tiny gear and spring has a purpose, and they must all work together in a precise rhythm for the clock to tell the truth. If one gear tries to spin faster than the others, the whole system fails. Our lives are a collection of many different gears: work, family, rest, health, and spirit. When we let the gear of overthinking spin out of control, it affects every other part of our existence. By slowing down the mental gear, we bring the entire system back into a harmonious rhythm. We find that we have more time, not less, because we are no longer wasting our energy on friction and resistance. We move with the precision and grace of a well-timed life. In the old accounts of a mountain sage, a student asked how to find the path to enlightenment. The sage pointed to a nearby stream and asked the student if he heard the sound of the water. When the student said yes, the sage replied, "Enter there." This means that the path is not hidden in secret books or distant temples, it is right here in our sensory experience. The sound of the wind, the feel of the chair, the sight of a passing cloud, these are the doorways to the infinite. When we fully enter our current experience, the monkey mind has nowhere to go. It is dissolved in the richness of the now. We realize that we are not looking for a path, we are the path. The practice of being kind to our roots involves acknowledging that we are part of a long lineage of human beings who have all struggled with the same wandering minds. You are not alone in your restlessness. This struggle is the common thread that binds us all together. When we see someone else who looks stressed or anxious, instead of judging them, we can offer them a silent wish for peace, knowing exactly how they feel. This connection of shared humanity is a powerful way to quiet the ego, which loves to feel separate and special. By recognizing our shared vulnerability, we find a deep sense of belonging and a quiet joy that doesn't depend on being better than anyone else. Imagine a large, beautiful tapestry that is being woven by 1,000 different hands. Each hand adds a different color and a different texture. Some of the threads are dark and rough, while others are bright and smooth. If you look at just one small section, it might look like a mess. But if you step back and see the whole thing, you realize that the dark threads are necessary to give the bright ones their depth and contrast. Our lives are that tapestry. The moments of loquacious worry and the days of heavy clouds are part of a larger design that we cannot fully see yet. By trusting in the great weaver, we can accept even the difficult threads with a sense of equanimity, knowing that they are contributing to a masterpiece of profound beauty and meaning. There is a subtle trap in the desire for total silence. We often think that we will only be at peace when all the noise in the world and in our heads finally stops. But true peace is not the absence of noise, it is the ability to be at peace with the noise. It is like being a skilled musician who can play a beautiful melody even when there are construction sounds outside the window. You don't wait for the construction to finish to start your music. You integrate the environment into your performance. This inclusive peace is much stronger than a peace that depends on perfect conditions. It is a peace that can go anywhere and face anything. When you feel the urge to hurry up and relax, notice the contradiction in that thought. You cannot chase peace as if it were a fugitive. Peace is a guest that only arrives when the house is quiet and the door is left open. We don't do peace, we allow it. This requires a certain kind of holy laziness, where we give ourselves permission to do absolutely nothing for a few minutes each day. In a world that prizes constant activity, doing nothing is a radical act of self-love. It is the pause that allows the soul to catch up with the body. It is the silence that allows the kind roots to drink deeply from the well of stillness. In the stories of a desert tribe, they talk about a hidden well that never runs dry, even in the middle of the longest drought. The only way to find the well is to follow a certain bird that only appears when the sun is at its highest point. Our inner peace is that hidden well. The bird we follow is our own awareness. When the sun of our life is at its hottest and the drought of our worries is most intense, that is exactly when we need to follow our awareness back to the center. The well is always there, but we often forget to look for it when we are busy complaining about the heat. The more often we visit the well, the easier it is to find, until eventually, we realize that we are the well itself. Think of the way a great poet chooses their words. They don't just use any word, they look for the one that has the right rhythm, the right sound, and the right meaning. They understand that words have power and that they should be used with great care. We can treat our own thoughts with that same poetic sensibility. Instead of letting every random thought run through our heads, we can start to choose the ones we want to nurture. We can choose thoughts of gratitude, thoughts of kindness, and thoughts of peace. This mental poetry transforms our internal dialogue into a source of inspiration rather than a source of stress. We become the authors of a beautiful internal narrative. The beauty of the journey we are on is that it is never-ending. There is always a deeper level of stillness to find, a wider circle of compassion to draw, and a more profound sense of presence to experience. This is not a cause for discouragement, but for excitement. It means that life will never become boring or stagnant as long as we continue to explore the landscape of our own consciousness. Every day is a new opportunity to plant a kind root and to watch it grow. We are like children exploring a vast, magical garden, and there is always something new and wonderful to discover around every corner. As we continue to walk this path, let us remember to smile at our own monkey minds from time to time. A sense of humor is a sign of a healthy spirit. When you catch your mind doing something ridiculous, like worrying about something that happened 10 years ago, just give it a gentle, internal wink. There you go again, you can say to yourself with a smile. This lightness of touch is what prevents our practice from becoming a heavy burden. It keeps us flexible and open, and it makes the journey much more enjoyable for everyone involved. Consider the way a small candle can light up a large, dark room. The candle doesn't have to fight the darkness, it simply shines, and the darkness naturally disappears. Your inner peace is like that candle. You don't have to fight your worries or try to push them away with force. You just have to light the candle of your awareness, and the darkness of your loquacious thoughts will naturally fade. The stronger your light becomes, the smaller the shadows will be. And the best part is that you can use your candle to light the candles of others, without losing any of your own light. This is how we change the world, one small, steady flame at a time. There is a profound sense of homecoming that happens when we finally settle into the present moment. We realize that we have been wandering in a foreign land of our own making, and that we have finally returned to the place where we belong. Everything looks more familiar, the air feels more comfortable, and we feel a deep sense of belonging. This home is not a physical place, but a state of being. It is the place where we are fully aligned with our own nature and with the rhythm of the universe. It is the place where the kind roots are most at home. In the ancient songs of a river people, they sing about a secret current that flows beneath the surface of the water. While the surface current might be moving in one direction, the secret current is often moving in another. To find the secret current, you have to dive deep and remain very still. Our lives have a secret current of purpose and meaning that is often different from the surface current of our daily activities and worries. By practicing mindfulness, we learn how to dive beneath the surface and align ourselves with this deeper movement. When we are in the secret current, everything feels effortless and right. We are being carried by a force that knows exactly where it is going. Let us be like the mountains, which stand in silent witness to the passing of the ages. They do not judge the clouds that pass over them or the trees that grow on their slopes. They simply are. By cultivating this mountain-like presence, we find a sense of dignity and strength that is truly unshakable. We are the masters of our own internal geography, and we can choose to be as steady and as vast as the highest peaks. This perspective allows us to see the small dramas of our lives for what they are, fleeting shadows that do not affect the fundamental majesty of the mountain. When the mind is loquacious, it is often because it is trying to save us from something. But what if there is nothing to be saved from? What if we are already safe, already whole, and already enough? This realization is the ultimate release. It is like waking up from a dream where you thought you were being chased, only to find yourself safe in your own bed. The danger was only in the mind. When we wake up to the truth of our own being, the need for constant mental vigilance disappears. We can finally put down our weapons and live in peace. The path toward a calm mind is also a path of deep simplicity. It is about stripping away the more and finding the enough. It is about letting go of the need to be special and finding the joy in being ordinary. When we are ordinary, we are connected to everything. We are part of the common soil and the common air. This simplicity is the kindest root of all, because it connects us back to the very essence of life itself. It is the place where we find our true power and our true peace. As we move toward the next horizon of our journey, let us carry with us the silence of the forest, the strength of the mountain, and the clarity of the mirror. Let us trust in the secret current of our own wisdom and stay rooted in the kind roots of our own compassion. We are moving toward a more peaceful version of ourselves, and every step is a victory. The journey is the destination, and we are exactly where we need to be. Keep breathing, keep smiling, and keep being the beautiful, peaceful being that you truly are. The world is a better place because you are in it, and your peace is a gift to us all. Think of the way a bird trusts the branch it lands on, even as it sways in the wind. The bird knows that even if the branch breaks, it has wings. This trust in our own wings, our awareness, our resilience, and our capacity for peace, is what allows us to navigate the uncertainties of life with such grace. We don't need the world to be stable, we just need to be stable within ourselves. This internal stability is the true meaning of the kind roots. It is the foundation that allows us to fly, to explore, and to experience the full range of human existence without being afraid of falling. In the old accounts of the sea, they tell of a phantom fog that can make even the most experienced sailors lose their way. The only way to navigate through the fog is to stop looking at the horizon and start listening to the sound of the bell on the shore. Our worries are that phantom fog, and our breath is the bell on the shore. When we get lost in the fog of our own overthinking, we simply have to listen for the rhythm of our breath. It will always lead us back to the safety of the present moment. The fog might not disappear immediately, but as long as we follow the bell, we will never be truly lost. Let us continue to nurture our inner, kind roots, with the same care and attention that a gardener gives to their most precious plants. Let us provide them with the water of mindfulness and the sunlight of compassion. And let us be patient, knowing that the most beautiful flowers take the longest time to bloom. We are a part of nature, and we follow the same laws of growth and transformation. Our peace is blooming, one petal at a time, and it is a sight to behold. The unfolding petals of our inner peace carry a fragrance that transcends the boundaries of our physical being, reaching out to touch the lives of everyone we encounter in ways we may never fully comprehend. When we sit in silence, we are not merely withdrawing from the world but are instead preparing ourselves to engage with it from a place of profound depth and unshakable clarity. It is like the way a deep well provides water not by reaching out to the thirst of the land, but by simply being deep and full of its own source. When we are full of our own presence, we naturally overflow with a kindness that requires no effort and a patience that knows no limits. This state of being is the true destination of the journey we have been sharing, a place where the loquacious mind finally finds its rest in the vastness of a heart that has learned to say yes to life in all its forms. In the ancient chronicles of a desert oasis, there is a story of a merchant who was so obsessed with counting his coins that he never looked up to see the breathtaking beauty of the starlit sky. One night, a sudden wind blew his coins into the sand, and in his frantic search to find them, he accidentally looked up and was struck by the infinite majesty of the cosmos. He realized that while he was busy collecting small, cold pieces of metal, he had been ignoring the vast, warm light of the universe. Our worries and overthinking are often like those coins in the sand, small and distracting things that keep our eyes fixed downward. When we allow the wind of mindfulness to scatter our habitual thoughts, we finally look up and see the true scale of our existence. We see that we are not just the small dramas of our daily lives, but part of a grand and beautiful mystery that is as old as the stars and as fresh as the morning dew. Consider the life of a mountain stream as it travels toward the valley. It encounters jagged rocks, fallen trees, and steep drops, yet it never pauses to argue with the obstacles or to lament the difficulty of its path. It simply finds the way around, over, or through, always moving with a singular purpose toward the sea. Our thoughts are often the rocks and trees in the stream of our consciousness. When we try to solve a thought by fighting it, we are like a stream trying to push a boulder out of its way. But when we practice the art of letting go, we become the water that flows gracefully around the obstacle. We maintain our momentum and our clarity, realizing that the rock is not an enemy but merely a part of the landscape. This fluid intelligence is the hallmark of a mind that has found its kind roots in the wisdom of non-resistance. There is a gentle irony in the fact that the more we try to control our thoughts, the more they seem to control us. It is like trying to hold a handful of dry sand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you open your hand and hold the sand loosely, it stays right where it is. Our mental peace works in the same way. By opening the hand of our awareness and letting our thoughts be just as they are, we find that they no longer have the power to slip away with our happiness. We find a sense of spaciousness where even the most loquacious thoughts can exist without crowding out our peace. This open-handedness is a form of spiritual generosity, where we give ourselves the gift of being exactly who we are in this moment, without judgment or correction. In the old accounts of a master gardener, it was said that he could make any plant thrive because he didn't just look at the leaves, he listened to the soil. He knew that if the soil was healthy and balanced, the plant would naturally grow strong and beautiful. Our monkey mind is like the leaves of a plant, showing the signs of stress or neglect. Instead of trying to fix the leaves by pruning them or painting them green, we should focus on the soil of our underlying awareness. We nourish this soil with the water of patience and the sunlight of self-compassion. When our inner environment is rich and stable, our thoughts naturally become more harmonious and our actions more purposeful. We are not working on the symptoms, we are cultivating the source. Imagine the quiet dignity of a lighthouse standing on a rocky shore. It does not run out into the ocean to save the ships from the storm, it simply stands there and shines its light. The ships use that light to find their own way to safety. You do not need to solve everyone else's problems or carry the weight of the world's suffering to be a force for good. By simply maintaining your own inner light, by being a steady and peaceful presence, you provide a point of reference for everyone around you. Your calm becomes a silent invitation for others to find their own center. This is the most profound way to change the world, not through forceful intervention, but through the radiant power of a quiet heart. The loquacious mind often tries to convince us that we are separate from the rest of creation, a lonely island in a vast and indifferent sea. But if you dive deep enough, you realize that every island is connected to the same seabed. There is no such thing as a truly separate self. We are all breathing the same air, warmed by the same sun, and supported by the same earth. When we recognize this interconnectedness, our anxieties begin to melt away. We realize that we are part of a massive, living system that is constantly supporting and nourishing us. We stop trying to make it on our own and start trusting in the collective wisdom of the life process. This sense of belonging is a powerful medicine for the restless soul, bringing a deep sense of security and peace. Think of the way a master calligrapher approaches a blank sheet of paper. They don't rush into the first stroke with anxiety or hesitation. They take a moment to breathe, to ground themselves, and to envision the flow of the ink. Every movement is deliberate, yet effortless, a perfect expression of their inner state. Our lives are the paper, and our thoughts and actions are the ink. When we move from a place of inner stillness, our lives become a work of art, full of grace and meaning. Even the mistakes become part of the beauty, adding character and depth to the final design. By slowing down and moving with intention, we transform the mundane details of our day into a sacred dance of presence and creativity. In the forgotten journals of a sea captain, he wrote about a hidden harbor that could only be found by following the flight of a specific bird during the golden hour. To find the harbor, you had to be willing to leave the safety of the known trade routes and trust in the subtle signs of nature. Our inner peace is that hidden harbor. It is always there, waiting to offer us shelter from the storms of life, but we often miss it because we are too busy following the trade routes of our habitual worries and societal expectations. To find our way back, we must learn to listen to the subtle birds of our intuition and follow the light of our own awareness. It is a journey of courage and trust, but the reward is a sense of safety and rest that no map can provide. When you find yourself caught in a cycle of what-if thinking, remember the story of the old man who said that he had suffered many terrible things in his life, most of which never actually happened. Our minds are incredibly talented at creating detailed scripts for tragedies that will never take place. We waste so much of our precious energy preparing for monsters that do not exist. When you notice a what-if thought arising, try to meet it with the words, even if. Even if the worst happens, I will still have my breath. Even if I lose everything, I will still have my capacity for love. This shift from fear to resilience takes the power away from the loquacious mind and returns it to the steady heart. We find that we are much stronger than we think, and that we can handle whatever life brings us, one moment at a time. Consider the intricate beauty of a spider's web in the morning light, covered in tiny drops of dew. Each drop reflects the entire world around it, yet the web itself is incredibly delicate and light. Our minds are capable of reflecting the entire universe, yet we often weigh them down with the heavy stones of our worries. By practicing mindfulness, we learn how to keep our web light and flexible. We allow the dew of our experiences to rest on us without breaking us. We see the beauty in every reflection, but we don't try to hold on to the water. We are content to let the sun evaporate the drops when the time comes, knowing that new ones will appear with the next dawn. This lightness of being is the ultimate freedom, a state where we can experience everything without being burdened by anything. In the ancient songs of a mountain tribe, they sing about a silent song that can only be heard when the wind stops blowing and the birds go to sleep. It is the song of the earth itself, a deep and rhythmic vibration that carries the wisdom of the ages. We can hear this song within ourselves when we finally quiet the noise of our loquacious thoughts. It is the sound of our own true nature, a melody of peace and joy that has been singing since before we were born. By listening to this inner music, we find the courage to dance our own dance, regardless of what the rest of the world is doing. We become the composers of our own harmony, creating a life that is a beautiful expression of the kind roots we have planted in the soil of our soul. The journey we have taken together is not a linear path with a clear beginning and end, but a spiral that leads us deeper and deeper into the center of our own being. Every time we return to the breath, we are coming back to the same place, but with a new perspective and a deeper understanding. We are learning that peace is not something we achieve, but something we are. It is the very fabric of our existence, the background upon which the drama of our lives is played out. By identifying with the background rather than the drama, we find a sense of permanence and security that can never be lost. We are the sky, we are the ocean, we are the silent song. Every interaction we have, every task we perform, and every breath we take is an opportunity to practice this deep presence. We don't need to wait for a special occasion to be mindful. The most ordinary moments are the most extraordinary when we truly inhabit them. The way the light hits a glass of water, the sound of a distant car, the feeling of the earth beneath our feet, these are all gateways to the infinite. By opening our hearts to the small things, we find that there are no small things. Everything is full of wonder, everything is full of life, and everything is a teacher if we are willing to learn. As we continue to walk this path, let us remember to be patient with the monkey mind. It is only doing what it thinks is necessary to keep us safe. We can thank it for its service and then gently invite it to sit down and rest. We can show it that in this moment, there is no danger, no need for worry, and no need for constant chatter. We can offer it the kind roots of our own awareness to hold on to, so that it doesn't have to keep jumping from branch to branch. In the stillness that follows, we find a sense of wholeness and peace that is truly transformative. We are no longer fragmented by our thoughts, but unified by our presence. Imagine the strength of an old bridge that has stood for centuries, carrying countless people and vehicles across a wide river. Its stones are worn and its railings are rusted, but its foundation is deep and secure. It doesn't try to be a new, shiny bridge. It is content to be exactly what it is, a reliable path for all who need it. We can be like that bridge in our own lives. We can offer a stable and peaceful path for ourselves and for others, grounded in the deep foundations of our own wisdom and compassion. We don't need to be perfect, we just need to be solid. Our worn stones are a testament to our resilience, and our rusted railings are a sign of our history. We are beautiful exactly as we are, and we are exactly where we need to be. In the old accounts of a wandering monk, he was asked what the most important thing he had learned in his travels was. He replied that he had learned that the sun rises every morning, whether we are there to see it or not. This simple truth is a powerful reminder of the reliability and the beauty of life. We don't have to make things happen, we just have to be present for them as they unfold. The universe has a rhythm and a wisdom that is far beyond our understanding. By aligning ourselves with that rhythm, we find a sense of flow and ease that makes everything possible. We stop fighting the current and start enjoying the ride, trusting that we will eventually reach the sea. The loquacious mind is often looking for a reason to be happy, but true happiness has no reason. It is the natural state of a mind that is at peace with itself. It is a quiet joy that bubbles up from within, independent of external circumstances. We find this joy when we stop looking for it and start being it. We find it in the silence, in the breath, and in the simple act of being alive. This reasonless happiness is the most stable form of joy because it can never be taken away. It is our birthright, our true nature, and the final destination of the path of the kind roots. Let us carry this sense of quiet joy with us as we move through the rest of our lives. Let us nurture our kind roots with kindness, patience, and a deep sense of presence. And let us always remember that we are never alone. We are part of a vast and beautiful community of beings who are all seeking the same peace and the same understanding. Our individual peace is a vital contribution to the peace of the whole. By being still, we bring stillness to the world. By being kind, we bring kindness to the world. By being ourselves, we bring light to the world. Think of the way a forest recovers after a long, hard winter. The snow melts, the ground softens, and the first tiny green shoots begin to emerge from the soil. There is a sense of expectancy, a feeling that something new and beautiful is about to happen. Our own lives are in a state of constant renewal. Every moment is a chance to start fresh, to let go of the old and embrace the new. Every breath is a springtime for the soul. By staying rooted in the present, we can experience this renewal every single day. We can watch our kind roots grow stronger and more vibrant, and we can look forward to the summer of our own blossoming with a sense of wonder and joy. The path we have walked together is a testament to the power of the human spirit to find peace in even the most challenging circumstances. We have learned that the monkey mind is not an enemy, but a teacher. We have learned that overthinking is not a flaw, but a sign of our deep concern for life. And we have learned that the answer to all our worries is right here, in the simple and profound reality of our own presence. We are the masters of our own internal geography, and we have the power to create a landscape of peace and compassion within ourselves. This is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves and to the world. As the light of our shared conversation begins to soften, let us take a moment to simply be together in the silence. Feel the warmth of the connection, the steadiness of the breath, and the vastness of the space that holds us all. We are part of a grand and beautiful tapestry, and our individual piece is a vital thread in that design. Let us carry this sense of connection and peace with us as we move into the next moments of our lives. The journey continues, and we are exactly where we need to be. The sun is rising, the birds are singing, and the world is waiting for our peace. In the old scrolls, it is written that the highest form of wisdom is to live in harmony with the way things are. This doesn't mean we don't work for change, but it means we do it from a place of acceptance rather than resistance. We accept the loquacious nature of the mind, the restless nature of the body, and the uncertain nature of the world. And in that acceptance, we find the freedom to be truly present and truly helpful. We become the kind roots that can withstand any storm, the lighthouse that can shine through any fog, and the silent song that can be heard in every heart. Let us be like the moon, reflecting the light of the sun with perfect equanimity. Let us be like the earth, receiving the rain and the sun with the same open heart. And let us be like the breath, moving in and out with a rhythm that is as old as time. We are part of the great dance of life, and our steps are guided by the wisdom of our own hearts. Keep breathing, keep smiling, and keep being the beautiful, peaceful being that you truly are. Your peace is a gift to the world, and we are all grateful for it. The journey of the kind roots is a journey of returning home to our own true nature. It is a path of simplicity, kindness, and deep presence. And as we walk this path, we find that the destination was never somewhere else, but always right here, in the very heart of our own being. We are the peace we have been seeking, we are the light we have been looking for, and we are the home we have been trying to find. Everything is exactly as it should be, and we are exactly where we are meant to be. The circle is complete, and the journey begins again with every breath. Think of the way a single stone dropped into a still pond creates ripples that spread out until they reach the farthest shore. Your peace is that stone. Every time you choose stillness over overthinking, every time you choose kindness over judgment, you are creating ripples of peace that reach far beyond your own life. You are contributing to the healing of the world in ways you can only imagine. This is the true power of the kind roots. It is the power to transform the world through the quiet revolution of a single, peaceful heart. Let us continue to be that heart, one breath at a time. As we move toward the final horizon of this particular conversation, let us hold on to the feeling of spaciousness and grace we have cultivated together. Let us remember that we have the tools, the wisdom, and the compassion to navigate any challenge that comes our way. We are no longer afraid of the monkey mind, because we know how to lead it home. We are no longer lost in the fog of overthinking because we know how to follow the light of our own awareness. We are steady, we are clear, and we are at peace. The world is full of loquacious noise, but your heart carries a sacred silence that can never be disturbed. This silence is your true home, your refuge, and your source of strength. Visit it often, nurture it with your attention, and let it guide you in all your actions. You are a beacon of peace in a restless world, and your light is needed more than ever. Go forth with a quiet confidence and a soft heart, knowing that you are supported by the very fabric of life itself. The journey is beautiful, the company is divine, and you are exactly where you belong. Let us take one final, deep breath together, feeling the connection that spans all time and space. We are one, we are at peace, and we are home. The silence is full, the light is bright, and the heart is open. Thank you for being part of this beautiful journey of the kind roots. May your path be filled with peace, your heart with joy, and your life with the quiet beauty of a mind that has found its rest. The monkey mind is sleeping, the world is at peace, and you are free. The freedom that comes from a quieted spirit is not a temporary relief but a fundamental shift in how we perceive the very fabric of our existence. It is like the difference between someone struggling to stay afloat in a stormy sea and someone who has learned to transform into the water itself. When we are the water, the storm no longer has anything to strike against. We become vast, fluid, and profoundly at peace with the movements of life. This internal spaciousness is where the monkey mind finally finds a branch that does not break, a place where it can sit and watch the world go by without needing to interfere. We realize that the loquacious nature of our thoughts was simply a misguided attempt to keep us safe in a world that felt unpredictable. Now that we have found our kind roots in the soil of the present moment, that frantic protection is no longer necessary. We are safe because we have stopped fighting reality and have started dancing with it. In the ancient records of a hidden valley, there is a story of a master musician who played a flute made of simple bamboo. When he played, the birds stopped their chatter, the wind softened its blow, and even the most troubled hearts felt a sense of sudden clarity. A young student asked him what secret melody he was playing to achieve such a miracle. The master smiled and replied that he was not playing a melody at all. He was simply breathing through the flute and allowing the silence of his own heart to become audible. Our lives can be that flute. When we clear away the clutter of overthinking and the debris of old anxieties, the natural music of our soul begins to flow through us. We don't need to compose a complicated life, we just need to be hollow enough for the peace of the universe to breathe through us. This simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, a way of living that is both humble and majestic. Consider the strength of the horizon, that thin line where the earth meets the sky. It appears to be a boundary, yet it is actually an invitation to infinity. No matter how far you walk, the horizon is always there, steady and unreachable, yet always guiding your way. Our awareness is that horizon. It holds everything we see, feel, and think, yet it is never exhausted and never full. When we identify with the horizon rather than the objects moving across the landscape, we find a sense of permanence that is truly liberating. We see the weather of our emotions passing by, the clouds of our thoughts drifting through, and the seasons of our lives changing, yet the horizon of our awareness remains unchanged. This is the ultimate sanctuary, the place where we can always return to find our bearings and our peace. There is a profound beauty in the way a forest prepares for the night. The shadows lengthen, the air cools, and a deep hush falls over the trees. Everything settles into a state of rest, trusting that the sun will return in the morning. We can bring this twilight wisdom into our own minds when the day feels long and the weight of our responsibilities feels heavy. We can allow our thoughts to settle like the birds in the trees, trusting that the morning of a fresh perspective will arrive in its own time. We don't have to solve everything before we sleep. We can give ourselves permission to be still, to be quiet, and to be at rest. This trust in the natural cycles of life is a powerful antidote to the restless drive of the monkey mind, which thinks it must be active 24 hours a day. In the old accounts of a wandering sage, it was said that he carried a small, empty bowl wherever he went. When people offered him food, he accepted it with gratitude. When the bowl was empty, he was equally content. He explained that the bowl was not just for food, but for the world itself. It was a vessel for whatever the moment brought. If it brought joy, he held it. If it brought sorrow, he held that too. Our hearts are that bowl. When we stop trying to fill our lives with only the sweet experiences and stop trying to empty them of the bitter ones, we find a sense of wholeness that is unshakable. We realize that the value of the bowl is in its emptiness, its capacity to receive. This openness is the source of our true wealth, a richness that does not depend on what we have, but on how we are. Imagine the grace of a falling star as it streaks across the night sky. It is a moment of intense beauty and light, and then it is gone. It does not try to stay longer than its time, and it does not apologize for its brevity. Our lives are like those falling stars, brief and brilliant flashes in the vastness of eternity. When we realize the preciousness and the fleeting nature of our time here, the loquacious worries of the monkey mind seem incredibly small. We stop wasting our energy on trivial anxieties and start focusing on what truly matters: love, kindness, and presence. We live with a sense of urgency that is not frantic, but deeply appreciative. We cherish every breath, every smile, and every moment of connection, knowing that they are the true treasures of our existence. The practice of kind roots is a journey of unlearning as much as it is a journey of learning. We are unlearning the habit of constant judgment, the habit of unnecessary worry, and the habit of feeling separate from the rest of life. We are stripping away the layers of social conditioning and ego-driven fears to reveal the radiant core of our own being. This process of peeling the onion can sometimes be uncomfortable, but it is the only way to reach the sweetness at the center. Every time we catch ourselves in a loquacious spiral and choose to return to the breath, we are peeling away another layer. We are becoming more authentic, more transparent, and more peaceful. We are coming home to the self that existed before the world told us who we should be. Think of the way a massive bridge is built over a deep chasm. It starts with a single, thin cable being carried across the gap. Then another cable is added, and then another, until eventually, a strong and stable structure is formed that can carry thousands of people. Our mindfulness practice is that first thin cable. It might seem insignificant at first, a tiny thread of awareness in a vast canyon of distraction. But every time we practice, we are adding another cable of stability and strength. Over time, these threads of presence weave together to create a bridge of peace that can carry us over any difficulty. We find that we can cross the most daunting chasms of our lives with a sense of safety and grace, grounded in the resilience we have built one breath at a time. In the ancient songs of a river people, they sing about a silent river that flows beneath the one we can see. This silent river carries the memories of the earth, the wisdom of the ancestors, and the heartbeat of the universe. To touch this river, you have to be very still and listen with your whole body. Our inner peace is that silent river. It is the steady current of wisdom and love that flows beneath the surface of our loquacious thoughts and busy lives. By practicing stillness, we drop down into this current and allow it to carry us. We find that we don't have to row so hard, the river knows the way. This sense of being carried is a profound relief, a state of grace where everything happens in its own time and in its own way. The loquacious mind is often like a person trying to read a book in a moving car. They are so focused on the words that they miss the beautiful landscape passing by outside the window. They might even get a headache from the strain. Mindfulness is the act of putting down the book of our thoughts and looking out the window. We see the mountains, the forests, and the sky in all their vibrant glory. We realize that the story we were reading is nothing compared to the reality of the world around us. This doesn't mean we never read the book again, but it means we know when to put it down and appreciate the view. We find a balance between our internal world and our external reality, a harmony that brings a sense of ease and delight to our lives. Consider the silence of a snow-covered field at dawn. There is a purity and a freshness that is almost overwhelming. Every footprint is a story, and every breath is a miracle. Our minds can be like that field when we approach them with a sense of kind roots awareness. We see our thoughts as footprints in the snow, temporary markings that do not disturb the underlying stillness. We don't have to erase the footprints, we just have to appreciate the field. This perspective allows us to be at peace with our own mental history, seeing it as a series of movements across a vast and beautiful landscape. We move forward with a sense of lightness and clarity, ready to create new footprints of kindness and compassion. In the old accounts of a mountain monastery, there was a monk who was famous for his radiant silence. He didn't speak much, but his presence was so peaceful that people felt healed just by being near him. When asked for his secret, he said that he simply practiced the art of being here with all his heart. He didn't let his mind wander to the past or the future. He was completely present for every person and every task. This total presence is the highest form of generosity. When we are fully here for someone, we are giving them the most valuable thing we have, our undivided attention and our unconditional love. This is how we cultivate the kind roots in our relationships, creating a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. Imagine the feeling of a warm, gentle rain on a summer afternoon. It washes away the dust, cools the air, and brings a sense of life and renewal to everything it touches. Our mindfulness practice is like that rain. It washes away the dust of our overthinking and cools the heat of our anxieties. It nourishes the seeds of our own potential, allowing us to grow into the fullest and most beautiful version of ourselves. We don't have to make the rain fall, we just have to be open to receiving it. By creating the space for silence and reflection in our lives, we are inviting the rain of peace to fall upon our hearts. We find that the more we allow ourselves to be washed by this presence, the more vibrant and alive we become. The journey of calming the monkey mind is ultimately a journey of falling in love with the present moment. We stop seeing the now as a stepping stone to the next and start seeing it as the only reality there is. We find a sense of wonder in the most ordinary things, the way a shadow moves across the floor, the sound of a distant bell, the feeling of our own skin. This everyday enchantment is the reward for our persistence and our patience. It is a life lived with wide open eyes and an open heart, a life where every moment is a gift and every breath is a celebration. We are no longer waiting for something to happen to be happy, we are happy because we are happening. Think of the way a great poet uses silence as much as they use words. The gaps between the lines are where the true meaning resides. Our lives are the same way. The silences in our day, the pauses between tasks, the quiet moments of reflection, the space between breaths, are where the true meaning of our existence is found. By honoring these silences, we allow the poem of our lives to be heard in all its depth and beauty. We stop trying to fill every second with noise and activity, and instead, we learn to appreciate the white space of our own being. This is where the kind roots drink the most deeply, and where our peace is most profoundly nourished. In the ancient scrolls of a forgotten library, it was written that the heart is a mirror that can reflect either the mud or the moon. If the heart is turbulent and full of desire, it reflects only the mud of our own ego and our own fears. But if the heart is still and clear, it reflects the moon in all its serene beauty. Our practice is the act of cleaning the mirror. We use the cloth of mindfulness to wipe away the smudges of overthinking and the dust of old habits. We wait for the water of our emotions to settle so that the reflection can be clear. When we look into a clear heart, we see the whole universe reflected back at us, and we realize that we are one with the light of the moon and the depth of the night sky. The loquacious nature of the mind is not something to be feared or suppressed, but something to be understood and embraced as a part of the human experience. It is the music of our evolutionary history, the sound of a nervous system trying to navigate a complex world. By treating our thoughts with a sense of kind roots, compassion, we transform the noise into a harmony. We see that our worries are just a form of protective love that has gone a bit astray. We can gently guide that love back to the present moment, where it can be used for constructive action and genuine connection. We are the conductors of our own internal orchestra, and we can choose to create a symphony of peace. As we reach the final destination of this shared reflection, let us take a moment to look back at the path we have walked together. We have explored the depths of the monkey mind, the power of the breath, the resilience of the heart, and the vastness of our own awareness. We have learned that peace is not a distant goal, but a present reality that is always available to us. We have planted kind roots in the soil of our soul, and we have watched them grow stronger and more vibrant with every mindful breath. We are not the same people we were when we started. We are more centered, more compassionate, and more at peace with ourselves and with the world. Imagine the feeling of standing on the peak of a high mountain at dawn. The world below is still in shadow, but the peak is bathed in the golden light of the rising sun. You can see for miles in every direction, and the air is so pure that it feels like drinking liquid light. This is the perspective we have cultivated together. We are standing on the peak of our own awareness, looking out over the landscape of our lives with a sense of clarity and joy. We see the valleys of our challenges and the rivers of our emotions, but we are no longer lost in them. We are the mountain, steady and strong, and we are the light, bright and clear. Every end is a new beginning. As we finish these words, we are stepping into a new moment, a new hour, and a new day. We carry the kind roots with us wherever we go, a silent and powerful foundation for our new lives. We don't have to worry about the future, because we know how to inhabit the present. We don't have to be afraid of the monkey mind, because we know how to lead it home. We are the masters of our own internal peace, and we are ready to share that peace with the world. The journey continues, and it is a journey of infinite beauty and endless possibility. Think of the way a seed eventually becomes a great tree. It starts in the darkness of the earth, pushing through the soil with a persistent and gentle strength. It grows toward the light, weathering storms and droughts, until it stands tall and provides shade for everyone who passes by. Your peace is that tree. It started as a small seed of intention, and it has grown into a powerful force for good in your life and in the lives of those around you. You are the gardener, and you have done the work of nurturing and protecting your kind roots. Now, you can rest in the shade of your own tranquility, and you can offer that shade to others. The world is a better place because you have chosen to walk this path. Your peace is not just for you, it is a gift to humanity. Every time you choose a deep breath over a sharp word, every time you choose presence over distraction, and every time you choose kindness over judgment, you are raising the vibration of the entire planet. You are a pioneer of the spirit, showing others that it is possible to live with a quiet mind and an open heart in the midst of a noisy world. Go forth with a sense of pride and a heart full of love, knowing that you are making a difference in ways that are both seen and unseen. In the old accounts of a master of the way, it was said that his final teaching was simply a smile. He didn't need any more words, because his whole life had become a living expression of peace and joy. That smile contained everything: the wisdom of the ages, the compassion of the heart, and the clarity of the present moment. We can strive for that ultimate smile in our own lives. We can live in such a way that our very existence is a source of comfort and inspiration for others. We can be the living proof that peace is possible, that kindness is powerful, and that the present moment is enough. Let us take one last, long, and deep breath together. Feel the air as it enters your body, bringing with it the energy of life and the peace of the universe. Feel the air as it leaves your body, carrying away any remaining tension or worry. In this breath, we are connected to each other, to the earth, and to the infinite. We are one, we are at peace, and we are home. The silence is perfect, the light is radiant, and the heart is wide open. Thank you for this journey, thank you for your presence, and thank you for being the beautiful, peaceful soul that you are. The monkey mind is at rest, the kind roots are deep, and the world is full of light. Go in peace, live in joy, and be the love that the world is waiting for. The story of your peace is just beginning. Every day is a new page, and every breath is a new word. You have the pen in your hand, and you are the author of a masterpiece. Write with courage, write with compassion, and write with a sense of wonder. The world is your canvas, and your peace is the color that will make it beautiful. Believe in yourself, trust in your journey, and stay rooted in your kind roots. You are exactly where you need to be, and you are doing exactly what you need to do. Everything is whole, everything is holy, and everything is at peace. As the final vibration of these thoughts settles into the silence, let it be like the soft ring of a bell that lingers in the air long after the strike. Let that sound be a constant companion in your daily life, a gentle reminder to return to the center whenever you feel lost. You are a lighthouse in the storm, a rock in the stream, and a silent song in the heart of the world. Shine your light, stand your ground, and sing your song. The universe is celebrating your peace, and so are we. The journey is complete, and yet, it never truly ends. It just transforms into a deeper and more beautiful expression of the grace that you already are.